Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, some new toys to a collection, maybe, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. I am Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here each and every single week, the Cobra Commander to my Duke, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I am overwhelmed, quite frankly.
Are you?
Yes. Yes, coming in the studio today was quite the fucking just...
Yeah, and you can't really get the full effect on video here, but yeah, the studio changed pretty significantly, and there's shit all over that you can't see on the YouTube camera either.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into all of this, but like, what are we talking about today, Dave?
We're talking about... Oh, you know what? I'll use this guy. This guy, because he's the OG.
Oh my god.
Here he is.
That would be Shipwreck.
What's up, dirtbags?
Yes, we're talking about
G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
I don't really talk like that. No, that's not J-Lo. This is J-Lo in her drag costume.
Oh yeah.
Is there like a reverse drag? Is that a real thing?
Reverse drag. Well, he's in a Navy outfit. Navy.
Navy.
He's got the bell bottoms going on.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Super gay. But yeah, no, we're talking about G.I. Joe today, and we're specifically focusing on the G.I. Joe of our youth. The toys, the TV show, the comics. Most of it's going to be a lot of personal stories, a lot of the stuff relating to the toys, because all this stuff, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see all of these toys displayed behind us. Massive story behind all of this stuff. This has been months and months in the works.
Yeah.
This is the secret.
He's been leading me on for fucking months,
Yes.
honestly,
This is
about
the-
this.
The big secret that's all been revealed now. So, yeah, here it is, and that's what we're talking about. But, oh my God,
I know.
this is the mistake that I made, though. Like, I knew Dave was going to have his dick beaters all over
There's
everything.
so much toys, oh my God.
There are a lot of
It's
toys
so
here,
much fucking
and
fun.
We haven't even scratched the surface yet. But,
Scratching of surface.
I would say, ask you if we should talk about Patreon before we get into everything, but I'm really just saying this very slowly to stall as I get the Patreon list up to
Yes.
talk about. Should we talk about Patreon?
Yes, you should talk about Patreon.
Thanks for your help.
You're welcome.
We'd like to give a huge shout out to all of our current patrons: David Schmuck, Brady Big Lovin', my wonderful mother-in-law Patricia Goodstein, Ivo G, Dragon Buddy, Shotgun Mark, Wally Frogmore, Frank Kalevich, Tony Ferrari, Kristen Roscom, Frederick Martin, Don Solsky. Ooh, I hope Frederick's watching tonight. Don Solsky, Lord Helmet Fire, Catherine Rennick, Scott and Kim from the Use and Abuse podcast, Nicholas Schaefer, and Nick from Sweet Studios. If you'd like to consider becoming a supporter, you can find us at patreon.com/the Sidebar Cantina. Thank you again to all of our listeners and supporters. You are the reason why we do this. Back to you, Dave.
In Red 5 headlines, War of the Stars will no longer be live streaming.
What?
It will now be
Ever?
It will now be an audio-only podcast.
Huh. Now that's an interesting choice. I wonder what the reasoning behind that is.
I don't know. Maybe it's simpler because then you're not kind of.
It's really not. It's
Yeah, but think about it. If you're, we're kind of, shackled to Monday evenings, because we want to be consistent. We want to be sensitive to our listening audience, and there's other podcasts in the Red 5 network that are broadcasting at certain days, and we want to make sure that we're not overlapping too much with everyone else. And
fair.
so if you're just doing the audio, then you can piece it together whenever you need to, and do it that way.
okay.
You could do multiple episodes like we used to do. I mean, that's how we started.
That is true, because that way we could shotgun out a few episodes at a
Yeah.
time, and then take a couple weeks off in between.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Back in the day when we were pretending to do fucking one a week, and we were doing, every other Sunday we were doing 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So,
all right, fair enough. Teach their own, I guess.
yeah. So anyway, War of the Stars, find them on your favorite podcatcher. Also, if you're a TikTok fan, Give a follow to the Red 5 Tavern account, where you can find the best smoking hot battle clips and some hilarious epic fails all in one place. More Red 5 news after the show. I just kind of slipped into that.
All right, fair enough. So we're not doing a day in Star Wars or anything this week because we're not really focusing on Star Wars at all. But there was one bit of news that came out. I think it was like last night is when the news dropped. Did you hear about the shakeup at Disney?
Oh yeah, Bob Iger's coming back.
Yeah, Bob's back, baby.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
Like that's the words I saw. Like he's immediately back in charge.
Yeah. They
Like,
fucking
what
shit canned.
the fuck happened?
Yeah, they shit canned Chapek. And I mean, if you look at what's been going on with Disney, they just had their big earnings call a couple weeks ago that we talked about, and revenue's down. Like their stock is down like 40% or something on the year. Some shit.
I know.
Oh, so as a company as a whole, they're kind of hurting. So they made this immediate change. And if you remember, we talked about this when they were making the transition from Iger to Chapek, how they really stretched it out and they kept Iger on a lot longer than they had initially planned to kind of like ease the pain of the transition. And then they kept him on as like an executive advisor or some shit. And the dude wasn't even in the job for 2 years and already you're out.
It's either one of those things where the Iger was doing it so well that they just couldn't.
Oh yeah,
somebody new just couldn't make a new system that was going to have the same level of success, or they never stepped away from Iger's system enough to be able to enable a new guy's system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think of it like in football terms, right? You get a new head coach. If they try and use the old head coach's system, then you might not get buy-in. Like it's like, okay, we're just going to use the old guy's stuff. Well, okay, now it's not yours.
Yeah.
But the owner might kick that guy out and then bring in some fucking offensive lineman from fucking forever ago who's never coached a game in his life.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation at work today about this, and a guy was asking like, well, what do you think this is going to do to Star Wars? And quite frankly, I don't think it's going to affect Star Wars that much, because right now, with all the shit that Disney's dealing with, it seems like Lucasfilm is one of the ones that they can kind of just like leave alone, kind of let that run itself.
Right.
And deal with some of the other problem areas within the company.
Yeah, I agree. I think because Star Wars kind of has its own executive branch, as it were.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Disney looks over and says Star Wars is going to take care of itself. Marvel's going to take care of itself.
Sort of. Because I think Marvel's about to hit a big fucking wall.
I hope so.
They're reaching the point of like oversaturation with their audience.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and
you're kidding me.
I feel like that there's going to be a big fucking reckoning, and like everything with Marvel is going to change, I think, within the next 2 to 3 years. But that's a whole other topic. But
you're kidding me. You mean there's been too much Marvel? You mean like your group 8.7 or whatever, however the fuck they're spacing it out? They like, this is not a good plan.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're finally hitting that point. But again, this isn't about Marvel.
Well, I mean, you put out Black Adam, right?
That's DC.
All right, so
That's
Black
not
Adam
Disney.
comes out.
Yeah.
Well, for contrast, though, or I'll counterpoint that with Black Adam comes out, which is DC.
Yeah.
And then Wakanda Forever comes out and it destroys it.
Yeah.
Like the entire run of Black Adam, Wakanda Forever destroys on the opening weekend. So they're obviously still making money, but
they are.
I think it's that future, just you're doing too much of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're turning the brand into something.
They're milking that shit for.
Yeah, you
get some more drops out of it.
You're destroying the brand. It's almost like some toy companies do.
Yeah, oversaturation. Anyway, so I thought it was interesting to bring up, but at the same time, like I feel like this change is not going to affect Star Wars at all. And also, you got to think about it this way too. Changes for studios like Lucasfilm take years to implement and for things to come to fruition. If nothing else, maybe Bob Iger goes to Kathleen Kennedy and says, "Hey, remember what they were telling you about stop announcing movies that you're not actually going to fucking make? Yeah, stick with that.
Right.
And actually fucking make some movies now."
Yeah, please.
So
pretty please, sugar on it. Make some fucking movies.
Yep. So anyway, just thought I'd bring that up since, it is related to Star Wars and whatnot. I have one thing for my week. Are we moving on to our weeks?
Yes.
I have one thing for my week because I'm going to be telling a lot of personal stories when we get to our main topic, so I'm just going to keep it strictly to
The sacred Jedi Pixies!
which are not currently displayed. They'll be back in a week or two, so don't you worry.
I'm
And-
surprised you didn't even leave one up.
No,
Like
no,
it
well,
was when I walked in and saw they were all gone. I'm like, wow, what happened here?
Yeah. Again, we'll talk about that as we get to the main topic. But I do have one Black Series this week, and
This is the one that came in at the end of the show last
yeah,
week.
yeah. So yeah, you're in command now, Admiral Piet.
No shit.
Admiral Piet.
He's got his own fucking.
He's got his own Black Series, of course. Of course, he's gonna have his own Black Series figure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So good.
So yeah, nothing too spectacular. Just a nice Imperial officer, Admiral Piet. The face is pretty decent. He kind of looks like Tarkin a little bit
Yeah, it's like
in
a
this.
like a Tarkin.
Yeah, but it is Admiral Piet.
Awesome.
Ready the fleet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's all I had. Again, I'm going to be talking a lot more about myself and personal stories as we get to the main
Right.
beef of the thing. So I
Right.
turn it over to you, good sir.
All right. So I only had first things first. I want to say happy birthday to my son Jeff.
Oh.
He turns 26 somewhere around the neighborhood of today. So happy birthday, Jeff.
Happy birthday.
We had a nice get together yesterday to celebrate, and yeah, it's fucking weird having children that are in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
It's very
my oldest is turning 20 in a week, so
yeah.
so I'll have my first kid in their 20s.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna hit you like that shoulder that aches. It's gonna ache just a little bit more. Just like what is just like what is happening? Oh my god! I need a chair that rocks back. I need god. Edith, get me a beer. That's what's gonna happen. So happy birthday, Jeff.
Yes.
I brought. This is gonna be a quick one too. Sorry, Ivo, if you're watching. So I brought these Legos. I don't know if you were looking. That I had these on.
These are classic pieces.
Yeah. So I was on the way home from work the other day. Was it work? Where was I? Yeah, no, I was on the base. I did a photography thing on the base for the squadron, volunteer thing, and I saw on Marketplace somebody was getting rid of some Legos on Marketplace. It's like 4 pounds of Legos.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll see if they're still available, because I saw like in the thing there was like some good like I'm trying to build up some like I'm doing some airplane builds with it, and there were some pieces in there. I'm like, oh, those would be good. So I hit him up. He's like, yeah, I could drop them on the porch. You can leave the money under the fucking mat. Like, cool. So I brought the Legos home, much to the chagrin of Kathy, who's the Sacred Jedi Legos. Legos are starting to overpower me, much like the Pops did. Click, 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 click.
Sorry.
So the Legos I'm holding, these are mid 70s, like late 60s Legos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I was digging through all these Legos, like there were some sets that were pretty recent. They had some early Marvel ones, like they had some Spider-Man, had some Iron Man ones, like some cool stuff from there. Had some airplane intermediate ones, like a couple of, like, you could tell some pieces from Star Wars. Sure. Had a Superman minifig that was in there, which actually
Really?
whole with the cape, so that was pretty cool.
That is
And
cool.
yeah, and it had like a couple of these OG Legos. And what's funny is when you get Legos, and it's that sound, right? It's that therapeutic sound of fucking sorting through Legos. Yeah. Much like when you're sorting through a box of fucking G.I. Joes to look like, oh, which one of these do I?
G.I. Joe action figures that sounds like this?
Yeah. Yeah, just like that. That
Nailed
was, it. Yeah.
Kobe.
Good thing it wasn't a helicopter.
Oh, man.
Too soon? So yeah, like when I was sifting through the Legos and I felt these, I'm like, man, these feel different. And then when I saw this one in particular, like the one with the wheels,
Yeah.
like I recognized the wheels like as being something from like my childhood.
Yep.
And then like these wheels with the clear bottom, right? And how they put the old Lego together. It felt different. Like the plastic felt different. Like you look and the Lego stamping was a little bit different on all of them. Turns out that like, did you know Samsonite actually had the patent for Legos?
Really?
Yeah, Samsonite made Legos for a little bit. Like these.
Bet you they're pissed they got rid of that.
Well, they weren't great Legos.
Yeah.
Like see the.
But this is Lego brand though, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it
so
was-
they still got the mark on them.
But that's like you can tell the
Yeah,
Samsonite
these are
ones.
old school ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're fucking really hard to get together and take off.
Yeah, but it was something I read online that were talking about. Lego went to like you only get red and white ones. Like back in the day, they only were selling like red and white ones. So I'm like, so it's funny that like the ones that were in there were only red and white. So just a interesting piece of nostalgia, especially when you're like holding it because like I've been doing a lot of Lego stuff lately, and when I was sifting through the fact that my hand could actually feel the difference and like know that this was like, all right, this Lego has like tactile memory to it.
That's when you know you've touched a lot of Legos.
Yeah, that's what she said. I hope not. Anyway, aside from Legos and getting my hands dirty with Legos, quite literally, dude. So yesterday, right? Was it yesterday when I was texting you about the International Space Station?
Yeah, and I went outside and I just watched it.
Yeah. So we get obviously, we've talked about it on the show before. Getting notifications, you can get NASA notifications for when the space station is going to be in your area.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that, you can go to NASA, one of the NASA websites like NASA.gov. Or,
My Night Sky app tracks the ISS too. So
Yeah.
like you can just type in ISS and it'll show you where it is like
yeah.
in space compared to where you
So-
are.
I got the notification. I actually sent you a text like the day before.
Yeah, because you mentioned to be prepared for it, and I was.
Yeah. So it was the perfect like observation for like the sky was absolutely perfect for it. And for me, I was able to walk out my front door and it literally came right like so when you walk out my front door, the creek is like right here. Right? So it's like the creek and it's the tree line and the sun was setting because it was coming out of the southwest. So you got this like pink and orange kind of sunset. And it wasn't quite dark enough for a lot of stars, but you could see Jupiter,
Yeah.
right? And you could see like maybe one other star in the sky based on how dark it was. It was like 5:15 at night. And, just right on time, 10 degrees over the fucking horizon, you just boop. Something as bright as Jupiter just started coming up over.
And I mean, honestly, it looks like like a bright plane at high altitude kind of flying over. Because I mean, it's kind of what it is. But yeah, it's
If you've ever tracked just like if you've been looking up at the night sky and you see like a satellite, or something like that, where it's just like you're just tracking just this it doesn't twinkle, it's just a steady light. And that's what the ISS is. It's fucking insanely bright compared to what you would usually see. Like in the evening sky for the Philadelphia area, because we have a lot of light pollution here. The Jupiter, it was about as bright as Jupiter was.
yeah. And Jupiter's been fucking bright lately.
I actually got a picture with Jupiter and the ISS kind of in the same frame, and you could tell it looked like it was the same thing. So, yeah, but it came right over 78 degrees of fucking apogee, right over the fucking house. I just was like,
Yeah, and you texted me. It's like it's over right now. I run outside and I see it like right above me, and I just
Yep.
watch it go.
yeah,
down.
and I watched it disappear over the horizon. It's so fucking cool. It's so cool to be able to fucking go out there and just look up and be like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
We humans did that. And today, November 21st, today the Artemis Orion capsule did its swing around the moon. 80 miles. I think 80 miles It was how close it got to the moon.
Okay.
So, and it sent back pictures. Like we had the Earthrise picture. Like it sent back an Earthrise picture. Sent back some cool stuff. What's pissed me off about that though, they had a news conference today. Maybe they had some more pictures, and they'll put that stuff out. NASA's not really good about who's ever running their social media. They're not very good at it.
Right.
I'm not happy with how they, like, if you go to their James website, like it's still like the pictures that are on there aren't the most recent pictures, and that's annoying. Like if I go to the NASA app and I want to see like the latest images, and you're still showing me images from fucking the first images.
Yeah.
No, that's not images. I want to see recent images. I want to be able to. I don't want to have to fucking dig through Flickr.
Right.
To fucking find images, and then when you go and you're following them on Flickr, you're getting every fucking hand drawn. Oh, like this student in fucking 3rd grade drew a hand fucking thing of the whatever. That's beautiful, nice. Put it on a fucking refrigerator. Don't put it on your fucking site.
Yeah.
Where I want to see what James Webb took a picture of, not what that 3rd grader did.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's the train station. It does that sometimes.
The general alarm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, trust me, the first few times I heard it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's just the train station.
Alarm condition black.
Yeah.
You know, we're not under attack.
We're good.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyway, yeah, Artemis is out there doing its thing. It had a successful swing around the moon, so I'm really stoked about getting humans up there again.
Yeah.
And I think,
or for the first time, depending on who you ask.
oh, shut up! Don't even. Oh my god! I'm just fucking slap those people around their fucking faces. I'll go change the pictures for fucking NASA. Yeah, DB, I'll go fucking do that.
I'm sure that
I'll
there's
run their fucking
there's
social media.
probably something, because it's not NASA that's constantly operating the telescope, right? They what do? They give the time to certain like scientists or organizations.
Yeah,
and all
but
that.
they're so
you would think that part of that agreement is that those people have the rights to those images that they take, at least initially, until they're published.
So because there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on with how the images are processed and stuff like that, right? So they go into a repository. That repository goes out to, like, all right, if say the Applied Physics Laboratory bought time on the telescope, right? So they're taking images to collect the data from. They're going to get hold of those images, and then those images will go into the repository that everyone can get access to, and that happens fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is any images that get released. Somebody at NASA needs to fucking get off their shit and actually run their social media. Like, hire somebody that's what your job is, to run social media. Now, I say that, I know Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, or Captain Mark Kelly, who, you know, for retired, you know, Navy captain, astronaut extraordinaire. Like, I think his wife actually was one of the PA people for NASA at one point. But I think I don't know what she did, but I don't think she was running social media. But they need to fucking get somebody on that. They need to get somebody to update their fucking social media. Their live broadcasts fucking lag. Like, the stuff when they first did the JWST, fucking the broadcast was awful.
Yeah.
It just, you can do better, NASA. You can do better.
Though
there's tons of fucking people out there that you can bring on board. And we know how it is. Like, we've worked for the government. We know how it fucking is. They have to put out a job announcement. They don't want to pay a fucking GS6 to fucking do the social media site or whatever. I get it. However, do your shit. You want to get people interested in it? I want to send a fucking kid in 7th grade who's interested in doing this shit. I want to send him to fucking nasa.gov to go look at these fucking pictures and get excited about it.
Sure.
He goes to this fucking site. He's like, oh, I don't know how to get to the pictures. That's right, because you need to have a fucking master's degree to fucking figure out how to get to the new pictures. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Fix your shit.
Real quick sidebar too. We don't have to get into too much detail, but I just happened to be watching a video on Voyager 1 over the weekend, and it talked about like the specifics of how its camera worked.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, the people who invented this shit are fucking brilliant beyond
Yeah. And
anything I could imagine.
And they did it in the 60s.
Yeah.
They did it in the 60s. The engineers and scientists that were putting this stuff together in the era of Apollo, Voyager, the Pioneer spacecraft, you know, they were doing it at a time where the circuit, the transistor, like all these things were new. Computing was new.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep something it takes 22 hours to send a signal to fucking Voyager.
Yep.
Like, if
Well,
you're
it's
gonna
so fucking far away at this
Right.
point too. Yeah.
So it's like a full light hour away.
yeah.
So anything you send out, it takes 22 hours to get back. Like, that's a long. It's far fucking away.
Yeah.
But they can do it. They're still shutting down systems. They think I was researching this not too long ago. I think they anticipate getting a few more years out of the fucking battery.
Which is insane.
And they'll just keep shutting down systems and eking out as much as they can out of the battery. And yeah, it'll just keep fucking going.
yeah.
And it's awesome. So anyway,
Yep. So yeah, sorry to get you sidetracked on that.
that's it.
Oh, okay.
That was it for my week.
All right then. Do we need a break or anything before we start getting into
The sacred.
whoops.
G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
No.
All right
Good.
then.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So
I'm ready.
I started off our notes with the old bait and switch. So you know the whole way that I sold this topic was, yeah, we'll talk about the TV show, leading into the toys, leading into some other stuff, talk about the franchise as a whole. We're not really going to do that today. Half of what we're going to talk about is kind of sharing some old stories and talking about how all of these toys arrived here today. So, kind of figure out, okay, we'll start from the beginning. So
It's a good place to start.
we had the episode of the podcast a couple months ago where I was talking about, like, you know, battling some pretty serious depression.
Yeah.
Not doing well mentally. And one of the things that had really been on my mind at that point was my best friend growing up, Robert, who I've mentioned him here and there on the show. But today I'm going to kind of go deeper in our relationship and how that kind of ties into all of this. You know, I met Rob when we were 5 or 6 years old, you know, 81, maybe the end of 81 time frame, beginning of 82. And we lived in these apartments, like they were kind of back to back to each other. And one day I'm out walking around and I come around this corner and I see this kid who is exactly my age playing with all these He-Man figures. And I had He-Man figures as well, because that was the big new thing. Because as Star Wars was starting to wane down, He-Man was starting to come up. So the way my mother tells the story is, I run into our apartment. I'm like, oh my God, there's a kid that lives right next door and he's got a whole bunch of He-Man figures. And I run up and I scoop up all my He-Man figures in my arms and I just sprint out back outside. And pretty much from that day until the day he died, he and I were like the best of friends, like inseparable best friends, as close as two heterosexual males can ever be, you know?
Right.
And you know, we lived through everything together, all of these fucking trends between He-Man, Star Wars, G.I. Joe. And thing about Rob was he was born with a like a genetic lung disorder called cystic fibrosis.
Okay.
Some people out there might know what it is. Basically, it's something that kills most people that have it before they ever reach their mid-20s.
Right. It's a fairly significant, like, breathing, like, people that have it have a huge issues breathing.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, and he did. Like, he had a lot of health issues as we
Yeah.
were growing up. But you know, it was one of those things. My mother even tried to kind of prepare me, like she, like, again, explain it to me when I'm like an 8, 9-year-old kid. Like, you know, hey, he's got this problem, and most kids who have this, you know, don't live very long. And I never believed that he was going to die young. I was always under the impression, like, you know, they're inventing new stuff all the time. Science and medicine are, you know, improving drastically. Like, every day something new is being invented. And I'm just like, the medical community will figure it out.
Right.
So I was never too concerned. But you know, as part of his upbringing, you know, he was an only child. He was the only kid that his parents had, and obviously they knew about the disease. And I think one of the reasons, well, they spoiled the shit out of him, basically. You know, they bought him pretty much everything he ever wanted. And you know, they weren't rich, they weren't wealthy. We were all just living in these little dingy apartments in fucking Oildale, California, the fucking anus of California. And but I think because they knew that his time was short, they bought him whatever he wanted, you know. So one of the things that they really started buying him a lot from the beginning was G.I. Joe toys, because he and I, for some reason growing up, we had this. It was the 80s, right? It's what they talked about in The Toys That Made Us. That 80s patriotism, the Ronald Reagan era, the fucking Russians are the bad guys,
Right.
fucking, you know, America, fuck yeah. Which, sidebar, Team America and the fucking theme, you know, America, fuck yeah. You know,
Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah.
you know, a lot of people look at that as sort of, it's like irony, you know, it's because, you know, it's supposed to be satire and it's not supposed to be super patriotic, but for people like us who kind of grew up, that's just a continuation of the fucking G.I. Joe theme song.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same fucking thing. And
yeah, for us, we're going to use that as a fucking our rally cry.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, for veterans and for people that are actually out there doing it. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's people that are offended for us, and you don't need to be. Stop it.
yeah.
Stop it.
No,
You'll
like-
be offended about something else.
Yeah, and Rob and I were always like real big, like we loved the military and we loved military themed things. You go back and you look at our school pictures from like 2nd to 4th grade. We're always in like camo. Like we had like these camo fucking zip up jackets. We
Yeah.
had fucking camo pants, camo shirts, everything. And both of us, we both just fucking dressed like that all the time.
That's funny.
You know, we had these grand delusions that we were both going to join the army together when we grew up. And, you know, we were very, you know, we just kind of loved the whole concept of military. We had a shitload of toy guns that we fucking play with all the time. Because, you know, when toy guns were big back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
before they made you put the fucking orange tips and shit on them, we had fucking all kinds of stuff that we'd constantly be playing with. And again, interwoven in all this was this love of G.I. Joe, because again, fucking patriotism, right? They really
Yeah.
played on that 80s Reagan era patriotism and everything, and we ate it all up. And because of Rob's condition and everything, his parents just bought him whatever the fuck he wanted. And again, it's hard to tell on the screen from kind of what I'm talking about, but Dave, you can attest to, you've seen everything that's in the room here.
Yeah.
Like you see that it's a lot of stuff.
I've never seen this much G.I. Joe ever in my life. Like there's vehicles here that I've never seen. I didn't know existed. Like literally, quite literally.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was not like deprived by any stretch of the imagination, but there's like stuff I don't even remember seeing in commercials.
Yeah.
Like just yeah, it's fucking impressive. It really is. There's a lot of G.I. Joe in this room right now.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I'll do like a video or something to post it to our private Facebook group, like of everything that you can't see on camera. But anyway, so that was our thing. So interwoven in all of these fads that we had growing up, we had a lot of them. You know, like I said, He-Man, fucking Transformers, Thundercats, Mask. What else did we have? Silverhawks. All
Teenage
of these
Mutant Ninja
things.
Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, yeah, all this shit that was kind of like interwoven in our childhood. Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, we loved all that stuff, and we got a little bit of it, but it was never like with the G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
Obviously, right?
Yeah, obviously.
So,
I mean, not. We can't. I literally cannot tell you, like this is you can't. It doesn't do it justice. Literally, if you're listening to this as part of the podcast, there is every conceivable G.I. Joe vehicle that you can think of,
everything but the aircraft carrier. He never got the aircraft carrier, unfortunately.
and I don't see the F-14.
It could be in one of those totes still too.
Yeah, but yeah, there's stuff that's still back there. There's helicopters and fucking planes that are still. They're just not fucking they're not there. And Sad Monkey, here you go. There he is, right there.
Yeah, your boy Shipwreck. But
hello, Sad Monkey.
and,
How are you?
Fast forward into the 90s, even as we're growing up, we're hitting our teenage years. We still loved the collection aspect of G.I. Joe. Still loved like fucking around with them, and we're gonna get into like the repairing and stuff, but we still loved making our own concoctions and everything. And even after I joined the Air Force and left, Rob continued to buy stuff that came out because he was a completionist. And something else that you probably noticed is he kept everything in as good as condition as possible.
Fuck yeah, man.
He kept all the little pieces, every little fucking missile, every little gun, everything. It's all here.
Yeah.
Like, everything here is fucking complete because he was so anal about keeping everything in good shape, keeping everything together, keeping all of the pieces for everything.
Yeah, these figures, like this Shipwreck is one of the OG, like 1985, right? When I had these G.I. Joes from playing with them, and like you were saying, you've played with all of these. These are not like, hey, I just bought these off of eBay.
Yeah.
You played with all of these.
Yeah, like all of this stuff that's in this room right now, these are the toys that Rob and I played with in the 80s and 90s. Like, these are the actual physical toys that we held in our hands
They
as
have their thumbs.
younglings.
They have their thumbs. Like, I had so many fucking G.I. Joes that the fucking thumbs
Oh
were
yeah, and
broken
we
off.
have some, like, you can see this is one of the early guys from the first wave. You can see his thumb is broken. Oh, sad face. But yeah, so anyway, so Rob continued to try to collect everything, even after it was discontinued in 94. I think it was 94.
94. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I had to remove the 94 drop to make way for the.
G.I. Joe.
So, fast forward to when he died, which I can't even describe how fucking just devastated I was at this point when he died. Because again, he and I were closer than any two human beings could be.
Right.
And when he died, I was fucking devastated, and it damn near killed me, honestly, because I won't even tell you all the places where my mind went at the time. I started drinking like there was no fucking tomorrow. Thank God I had Kristen at that point, because like if I didn't have her, I'd almost guarantee I'd be fucking dead today. Like, legit. But she stuck with me. She didn't have to put up with all the bullshit that I created after that, but she stuck with me. She kind of helped pull me out of that. It really just the worst time in my life ever. The day of his funeral, I went up to his mom and I asked her, because she was close. Oh, here's the bitch of it all too. Again, we're digging deep into the psyche of Jason and like my traumatic history. Rob's dad, Bob, one of the best men I've ever met in my life. He treated me like a son. He treated me like I was one of his own. Both of Rob's parents were just nothing but fantastic to me. Like our whole child, from, the age of 5 to the day that he died when he was 23. And we were 23. But his dad, who was the only positive father figure I had in my life growing up too. I had a stepdad who didn't give a shit about me, treated me like a burden and not like a child. My real dad just never came around at that time in my life. Thankfully, he's changed and he's gotten better. So yeah, Bob, Rob's dad, was like the only good father figure I had growing up. And he died the year before Rob did. Just the bad health, heart attack. And then Rob dies a year later. So I'm completely wrecked at this point. So I go up to his mom during the funeral or after the funeral. And I ask her like, hey, I know Rob's got all these G.I. Joes. This was like a big important thing between the two of us. Is there any chance I could have all those? And unfortunately her answer was, well, I'm going to sell all of his stuff so you can make me an offer. This was at the time I had just packed up everything from New Jersey and moved to California because I thought I was done with active duty Air Force. And I'm like, I'm out, moving to California, leaving the military behind. I had $0 to my name. I had nothing to my name. And basically her response was, oh, okay, sorry. Thank God. Another close friend of mine and Rob's, a guy that we've known since first grade. His name's Scott. Guy I still keep in touch with to this day. He bought everything from Rob's mom. And, I was so bitter about this. Not towards Scott, but more towards Rob's mom, who I didn't speak to her for years because of this. Because of the GI Joes, because I'm like, I want these for the sentimental value. I'm not gonna sell them. I'm never gonna get rid of them. I wanted them because this was something extremely special between me and Rob. And she just, refused unless I had money to pay her. So, but Scott had the money and he bought the stuff from her. And I remember he paid her like $400, something like that, for all of that and some other stuff of Rob's too. So it wasn't a ton of money, but I guess back in 2000, $400 was pretty significant, especially when you have $0 in your bank account.
Right.
So for years and years and years, I was bitter about it. I was angry. I was upset. And, over time, you kind of let it go. It's like, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Flash to 2 months ago when I'm like severely depressed, bad thoughts all around. And I'm thinking a lot about Rob. And I start thinking about the G.I. Joe stuff. And I know we've been talking about G.I. Joe a little bit here and there on the podcast. And I'm like, God, I wonder if Scott ever kept all of that old stuff. So I got on my phone. I'm like, hey, man, got a weird question for you. And I'm like, do you still have all of Rob's old G.I. Joe stuff that you bought from, his mom back right after he died? He's like, yeah, it's all been in these totes in the back of my garage. I'm like, serious? He's like, yeah. I'm like, would you consider selling them? He's like, dude, I'll give them to you if you want. And I'm like, holy fuck. So that is why I went to California a week and a half ago or whatever it was, because, this other friend, Scott, that, again, Rob and I have known since first grade, and he's been part of our core group of friends ever since. He bought all the stuff. He put them in these totes. He had them out for not even a year, just kind of like his display and all that. Packed them away, put them in the back of his garage, and that's where they've been for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And I got to his house, because that was the whole reason for me going to California, was to get this stuff from him. I still paid him money, too. I didn't let him just give them to me for free. I'm like, there's no way I'm just going to take these and not give you something. So I gave him a decent chunk of money.
Yeah.
And because, God, it's like the least I could do. Dude, as we started opening up this stuff, it was emotional.
I'll bet it was.
Because there were things that were in place, like figures that had certain accessories attached to them, or figures in certain vehicles that were there the way Rob and I left them the last time we had been messing with them.
Right.
Back in the mid 90s. And just going through and looking at them all, it's like, holy fuck. And that week, after I got everything from Scott, I took all 4 of these massive fucking totes to the UPS store, said, can you ship these to New Jersey? And they're like, yes, it's going to cost you, but yes, we can. I paid a hefty price, but I got them all here to Jersey. And that's how we got to this point. That's crazy. Something that, again, like was so special to me and, my childhood and this bond that I had with this friend. And I'm still blown away that this stuff was in such good condition. And again, huge thanks to our friend Scott for, preserving this stuff. And these fucking totes too, there's some old school totes, because they're from the year 2000, 2001. They have these fucking clips on the side, and they're airtight sealed. Right. So even though the outsides were pretty dirty and pretty messy, cobwebs and rat turds and shit, the insides were pristine.
Yeah, none. Like, I was digging around in here before you got in, and finding some Joes to put back together.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, none of them are like it. If you would have told me, hey, I spent the whole weekend fucking cleaning and wiping these down, I would have believed you 100%. Like, oh my God, yeah, it's been a lot. But I doubt you had to do that with any of these.
No, I didn't clean any individual toys. I had to clean the outside of these totes because they were pretty dirty. Inside, again, preserved fucking perfectly.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
that's absolutely amazing.
So that's how we got to this point. That's why I've been so coy about what I was doing, because one of the things too was I was so concerned at any point during this process that something was going to go wrong.
Right.
I was going to get there, and like I was really afraid that like Scott, because he's got like 5 kids now, And I was afraid he had done something like what I did with my old Star Wars toys, and that was let my fucking kids play with them
Right.
as they were growing up, and they were going to be torn up and fucking just in tatters. But no, he kept everything exactly as they were when Rob died, and it took so much for me to not just fucking break down the second I saw all of this stuff again.
Yeah.
And now I have it out in New Jersey, and now this stuff will be with me until the day that I die. And, whenever my time comes, my family can do whatever with them, but, I'm going to let them know how important this stuff was to me and to me growing up. And
Yeah. And Jesus Christ, it's so...
And, again, we were very fortunate that Rob's parents, did everything for him. And again, I attribute all of that to the fact that, they knew, his time was short. And there was a period, we were in second grade and he got hospitalized for like a month. And, my mom didn't tell me at the time, but I guess they thought that was like when he was going to die was at that point. But he made it through. He made it through, and he made it to the age of 23, which, it's pretty rare.
That's rare for that disorder. For some reason, we in grade school, we watched a movie about a girl who had cystic fibrosis. Again, I don't know why. I don't know why we watched a movie about that particular thing, and it was a very, very, very graphic detail about her daily life and what they had to go through, like a lot of trying to, expectorate, just, cough and get stuff through your lungs and, doing all these things to breathe. So yeah. And it's the life expectancy is definitely not into your 20s.
No,
I don't think it's to your teens, to be honest.
Yeah. There was a girl, this was several years ago. We're probably talking 10 years ago now. She was very popular on, I think it was Instagram, whatever social media was big then with the kids. And she was like 16.
Okay.
And she had cystic fibrosis, and she was doing like these daily videos and talking about life with it. And apparently she got really popular. It was a big celebration when she turned 16, and she ended up dying like a few months later.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's like fucking hell.
It's hard. But yeah, this collection, yeah, it's something that I'll tell you what, now that you have it, now when you have, you're having that little bit of a bad mental health day, and you can fucking go and dig in this a little bit.
Yeah.
And, and get back to it. And it's something so tactile about it, and, we'll talk more about the toys itself. And, when I came in here, right, and saw all this stuff out.
Yeah, because again, I didn't tell Dave anything.
No,
I kept all this shit from him. Like I sent you one little preview screenshot of the Starkiller Studios with the setup there.
I got a little bit of that. I'm like, oh, look, an original fucking Snake Eyes, and the Snake Eyes that I had, I remember those. Yeah, and it brings back a little memory. And then when you get in front of it, and then you could get your little fucking dick beaters on guys that you had. And it just like, it's a tactile thing, just like it was with this fucking Legos that I was describing.
Yeah.
Like you get your hands on these, on this toy, and you're like, oh man, I remember. It immediately brings something back, and it brings back something that's like, just, there's such a sentiment there.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? We were talking about Toy Story today. And
I was talking about it at work today too, actually.
Yeah. Well, but toys, it's this shit, right? It's this our connection, and maybe I don't know if it's just our generation or I can't speak for the other generations. I can only speak to our experience, right? But something like Toy Story 3, where it was gut wrenching, because it was these younger kids, right? They're like 24, 23 years old. And we're like, me and Q are talking about how fucking Toy Story 3 was like devastating to us.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, why? Like, because it was. How could you not? How could you not? Like,
yeah, those were his friends, the toys that he grew up with. That was
like, oh my god, it hurts. It hurts me. It, like, honestly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think And maybe there's some some psychological response that could be to how we were brought up, that makes this connection to these toys, and how we were able to escape in this into this thing that we could play with in our hands as opposed to the video game.
Oh yeah, yeah, because there is something to say to that, and our imaginations ran wild, and I'll get into some of the details of some of the things that we did playing with these that was a little outside the norm. But yeah, like between just the detail in these, that tactical detail, and just the amount of accessories, the fucking hole in the back that you could put backpacks on, all kinds of, like, you could attach them to vehicles, the fucking holes in the bottom of the feet that you could put them on the stands, and
so real quick,
yeah.
like, I can't even touch your fucking, like, this amazingness.
Okay, so do you have a history?
I have a couple things to
all right,
say.
well, yeah, throw it out
I have
there.
a couple of things to say for my interactions with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And ironically, I think we've talked about it on the show before. I had a handful of G.I. Joes. I maybe had one or two vehicles, the smaller vehicles. For me, there was a choice, right? And, like, I got one big toy every Christmas, and if I was going to get a big toy, it was either going to be, it really came down to Star Wars or G.I. Joe or something else, or Nintendo when Nintendo came out or whatever. And invariably I went to Star Wars. So when I would get a G.I. Joe figure, a random G.I. Joe figure, it would be like, oh, we were in Toys R Us and this one happened to be fucking on sale or something like that.
Right.
And, be able to go through and come out with a fucking G.I. Joe.
Well, and that was the thing, too. You'd go into Toys R Us and it'd just be a massive rack.
So much
G.I. Joe. Of different G.I. Joes.
Oh, my God. And so, I had a handful of G.I. Joes, and my G.I. Joes would play in the Millennium Falcon and my ATST, and they would do that. But ironically, probably my first interaction with G.I. Joe was with the original G.I. Joes.
Oh, the 60s 12-inch figures.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my Uncle Jack, my great Uncle Jack, we would go up to their house in York for family reunions, like the fall family reunion around this time of year. Right? We'd go out there, and we'd have our Thanksgiving stuff, and we'd be out there. And his basement, like, he was a woodworker, like that's what he did as his hobby, and he had this fantastic wood shop, which one of his grandsons is doing, and that's fantastic. Weird stream of consciousness, but anyway, but he had, like, a toy box that was probably one of his kids growing up, and there was G.I. Joe, like original G.I. Joes that were in there.
Those 12-inch figures, yeah.
And the start with those G.I. Joes, with the level of detail that was on them, like what we have here with the vehicles and the level of detail in the vehicles and in the figures, like if you never got a chance to actually see the level of detail that was in the larger figure, that whatever the size was, the
12-inch,
the 12-inch,
yeah.
Again, being really weird that I can hold a G.I. Joe in my hand like this, because it seems so much bigger when you were smaller.
Yeah.
Those original G.I. Joes, like the guns, like they were so epically fucking detailed.
Well, yeah, because they were modeled off of actual military weapons.
Yeah,
and
it was like the coloring and the guns and the fucking parachutes. You could actually pack a parachute in it, and like it was phenomenal. And it was just, you spent so much time just putting the thing together, and it wasn't a doll. It's an action figure.
Yes, it was the first action figure ever. That was the
coined the phrase.
Yeah, action figure was created for G.I. Joes in the 60s.
Right. And then getting to play with that, and then having one that would, oh, by the way, look at the size right next to your fucking Star Wars figure, But his fucking knees bend, his arms bend,
His
fucking,
elbows bend, his
Yeah,
arms
it's like-
rotate.
it was so much more versatile and could do so much more stuff than my Star Wars figure. That, yeah, I spent a lot of time making these guys do Star Wars things.
Oh yeah.
So,
And that was the beauty of having them as that same size.
Yeah.
Is, you could. And then, we're going to talk about the episode of The Toys That Made Us.
Right.
A little bit regarding G.I. Joe. And there's a lot of like references to Star Wars and things like that we'll kind of get into. But that was all by design.
yeah, those 12-inch Joes were actually really, really cool. And yeah, just for the fucking, just the weapons alone. I mean, like your bag of fucking G.I. Joe weapons over there.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of good stuff, like authentic military style weapons, as well as all kinds of new, crazy, outlandish stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, go.
Okay, so yeah, we'll try to break this down. I think I do want to start with talking about the Toys That Made Us, because that was really the only research that I required that we do this week, because I
Facts.
knew a lot of it was going to be some personal stories. But the Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us, the first season ended with G.I. Joe, and they went through the whole history. They started with the 60s and 70s version,
Right?
And how it was that compliment to Barbie for boys, because they wanted to really expand. Not a doll, action figure.
Not a doll.
And and that continued into the 70s, and I have the note, hippies suck in every galaxy.
That's
because
right.
as we got to the late 60s and early 70s, the anti war sentiment that was kind of spreading across the country pretty considerably, forced them to sort of go into different directions, and they took fucking G.I. Joe, the big G.I. Joe, in like some weird fucking directions, trying to keep him out of the military and more as like Action Man.
That's right. Oh, here, I'm going to battle this octopus. And
and then my friend here is like got a bullet for a head and just some weird shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, they quickly shit canned the whole brand after that. And then, like we said, start of the 80s, you've got fucking Star Wars and Kenner, who are just selling toys and making millions of dollars, just hand over fist, just fucking printing their own money, basically.
Right. Yeah.
You've got this fucking patriotism is coming back in the beginning of the 80s, and that's when they decided, okay, let's bring back G.I. Joe, but we'll bring him back in a smaller size, but keep that same flexibility that the original guys have to compete with Star Wars, whereas, their arms moved forward and back, and that was it, and the legs barely moved forward and back.
Yep. You could bend it just enough to fucking sit it in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And that was it. Or the legs were spread just far enough apart where you could sit it on the speeder. And that's it.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything else.
Yeah. And so they were already a step ahead with the G.I. Joes, and the materials they used to make them was a lot different too, because the Joes are more of like a hard plastic, where the Star Wars is more of like a soft.
Yeah, it's like
kind of
like you can hear the difference, like if you had them in a box, like when you were
yeah.
demonstrating earlier. Yeah, it's more definitely a hard plastic feeling as opposed to the like a Star Wars figure that.
Yeah, we don't have any accessible at the moment, but
Well, there's one over there, but that's a newer one.
yeah, same concept.
Yeah, there's a marked difference between the two.
Yeah.
God, just all the bendy, so much bending,
Yeah.
so much better.
And right out the gate, G.I. Joe was just extremely popular, but they actually waited a year because they were going to launch in, I think they said 81.
Yep. And then there was this thing that came out.
Yeah, the sequel to Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and they had like these massive new toy lines, and they're like, instead of trying to compete directly with the Star Wars sequel and all of its fucking toys, we're gonna wait a year,
Dude. And that was like, if you watch the show, stroke of genius.
Yeah.
Stroke of genius.
Yeah.
Because of the massive success. Like, this is when Empire came out, this is when my Star Wars toy experience kind of started, right? Now I'm in that age group. This is when I'm getting this Star Wars
because we were
toys.
only a year or two old when New Hope came out,
Right.
So
I would, Star Wars toys weren't a thing yet, but when Empire came out, now I'm like now I'm like can say I want
Yeah,
like
yeah.
these toys, you know, especially and then rolling into fucking Jedi too. But yeah, waiting a fucking year, letting this simmer,
Mm-hmm.
and then making the release was fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
because it could have very easily died.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If they were just trying to directly compete with fucking Kenner and the Empire Strikes Back toys, yeah, they probably would have lost their asses. But instead, they waited until 82. And so we're 2 years now removed from Empire, a year until Return of the Jedi comes out. Boom, 82, release this. Immediate success. Immediate success. And that's when I have some
Great success.
examples here. We have some of these early guys.
Giant forehead man.
Yeah, and also giant forehead man in a tan suit. But and if you look at this guy, I can't remember his fucking name, but his arms didn't twist. Like that very first line, they didn't all twist. They only bent at the elbows. They didn't like turn around also.
Yeah.
So if you see any like that, that's from that initial 1982-1983 line.
Oh yeah, it's got the year printed on the ass too.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, that's what I was like. You saw me, and I'm like, I had shipwreck, and I had the fucking iPhone camera, like basically
that's what you were
taking
doing.
a picture of his ass. Like I was trying
Yeah.
to see if I could see the year on it.
Yeah, this one's 82 also.
82.
82. So, yeah, and the toys that made us went into how Snake Eyes came to be, because this was the thing too. They
7
kind of
years old.
Yeah, they kind of rushed these out. Like the initial prototypes, they took old Chips figure. Remember Chips, the motorcycle fucking
Oh yeah.
show? They had figures in this size for Chips. So they took a bunch of them, fucking repainted them, and that was how they made their pitch to the head of Hasbro at the time.
I think I had Chips motorcycles.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I remember them having them as a toy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like super detailed motorcycles. And I don't think they were for these figures though. I remember them just having the motorcycles.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching the show.
Right.
And I had this fucking motorcycle. God, man, what happened to these toys?
Sorry. Fuck, come here. So.
Don't forget the fucking wolf.
Oh yeah. I'll leave it. That's actually not the original wolf. The original wolf is somewhere in that bag.
All right.
So one of the toys that they talked about was Snake Eyes. And
Right.
basically when they were making that initial line of 8 figures or whatever it was, they're like, fuck, because of some sort of restriction, they're like, one has to be like non-painted. Like we have to have one figure that we're not going to paint at all. It just has to be like a plain color palette that whatever the color of the ink is that they, or the material is. So they did Snake Eyes in all black, and they hadn't fleshed out these characters yet. You know, the comic, they were making these in tandem with the fucking comics, and there's a whole big backstory with the comics and the writer who used to be former military. But, you know, they're like, well, fuck, we'll make this one guy just all black, and he'll be like kind of a ninja. Nobody's probably going to like him. Nobody's probably going to buy him because he's bland. He's just
Right.
like a single color.
Yeah.
And then
little did they know.
yeah, and hence Snake Eyes was born and ended up being their best-selling figure ever. Snake Eyes and all of the various versions of Snake Eyes. But yes, this is, by the way, an original printing of Snake Eyes, not the weapons. The weapons are, his original weapons are somewhere in the bag, but these are like newer weapons. But that is an original 1982 Snake Eyes. Probably worth a lot of money. But anyway, yeah, so they put out this initial run, and it was just unbelievably popular. And over the next fucking 15 years almost, they were constantly releasing new figures, new vehicles. And again, thanks to the situation that I was in, got to experience a lot of this stuff. And even after technically the toy line was canceled in 94. 94. They still made, through at least 2008, they have still made figures in this 3 3/4 inch design with the screw in the back and the rubber O-ring inside.
Right.
Because, kind of skipping ahead here, they were doing an annual convention, like Hasbro was putting on an annual convention called JoeCon, I think it was. And they would have convention exclusives, like that they would only produce for those conventions which I have bought in recent months, getting ready for this show. But a lot of convention exclusives that are expensive and hard to get. But, up until about 2008, they were still doing this. So this particular wave of G.I. Joes, even though they've rebranded it several times since then, and one time that we're going to talk about at the end, this style still lives on. And this is, whenever somebody talks about like retro G.I. Joes or anything like that, this is what they're talking about. Like anybody our generation or near our generation, they're talking about these 3 3/4 inch Joes that had the screw in the back, the rubber O-ring, not any of the relaunches, because they did some relaunches that were the same size but just a completely different build and design. Like,
oh no shit.
Yeah.
How would they do it? Like how do you make the guy
They're
move?
just like the pieces that snap together. Think closer to like Star Wars than G.I. Joe at that point. But yeah, not nearly as successful.
Kind of
as
like
these.
how the Black Series figures are put together.
Kind of. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But we're gonna talk about Black Series like G.I. Joe toys a little bit later.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. And the great irony in all of this was what the demise of G.I. Joe ended up being was the fact that Hasbro ended up buying out Kenner in the early 90s. Because by this time, George finished the Star Wars trilogy. Jedi had a massive fucking toy release. Because I remember I had more Return of the Jedi Star Wars toys than anything else.
Yeah.
Because that was like the prime age for me.
Right.
But after that, George was done. He was moving on to the next thing. We made our money. We've done our thing. I'm done with Star Wars for now. I may go back and make the prequels one of these days, but that's it. And Kenner, like, immediately just, as soon as they didn't have fucking Star Wars, Kenner was fucking done. So by, 91 or whenever the hell the buyout was, Hasbro bought Kenner, hence getting the Star Wars license at the same time. By the mid 90s, that's when they started making those re-released Star Wars figures.
Right.
And they were pushing, as we were getting ready for the special editions and the prequels and all that. And that's when G.I. Joe, the A Real American Hero line, was officially canceled, was because of that line of Star Wars toys that's in your hand. Because I'm pretty sure that's the 94 95 version.
Yeah, this is
of Star Wars.
This is a 95 version.
95. Yeah, so
and there's still no bend though. This is a
they kept it in that same design, more detail.
Right.
In the figure.
There's plenty of detail. His stance is a little bit wider, but this guy was designed to fit in the ship, and because in 95 they re-released the TIE Fighter also, and he fits in the TIE Fighter, which I have in the box.
Yeah. And so
it's spectacular.
To your point, it's an interesting call too that they didn't go with the G.I. Joe style of movement. They stuck with the original Star Wars line. They didn't have the bendy legs or the bendy elbows. And I would imagine that adds to the production cost, because you got these rivets, these rivets that you have to like keep the arms and the legs together and all the extra stuff. Because it's a lot of small pieces.
That has to cost so much more to produce a Joe than it does to pump out a mold of Star Wars.
Because the Star Wars figures is just like mold done.
Yeah, it's
a little bit of assembly. Whereas these, we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 independent pieces.
And I think the only thing you get away with probably with G.I. Joe is the body style is probably pretty similar for most of them. Mm-hmm. So you're like slapping together like, okay, here's the same body style. And
and they reused a lot of molds and stuff,
like the heads and faces of these random guys.
Yeah,
the guy who wrote the fucking who designed the Cobra logos on his face is one of them.
Yeah, and that's all part of the Toys That Made Us. Go watch that. It gets into the history of these all these guys that made it possible. But that guy that designed most of this stuff, that dude is I wonder if he's still alive. He looked like he was.
Yeah,
he might have been days from death. But if he's still alive,
he looked like diabetes.
Yeah, if he's still alive, I would love to just shake his hand and just be like, "Thank you."
Fuck eBay. God damn, I hate you, eBay.
Oh, are you are you looking at GI Joe stuff on there?
I may or may not have just bought a G.I. Joe.
Oh my God! Did you buy Shipwreck?
No, I
Okay.
didn't actually.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. I bought a Snake Eyes.
Which one?
The 1989 Snake Eyes.
Okay, that's a good
'Cause
one.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah.
Because I remember having that one.
That one that's still on the Jeep, or
Yeah.
a different one? Okay,
Yep.
he's got.
I have a memory of that one.
Yeah.
I need to find the twins also.
Oh yeah, Tomax and Samot.
Yeah, because I'm sure we'll get into it, but I remember, like, as I was digging through the pile of the literally hundreds of GI Joes that are over there.
Yeah, literally hundreds of figures in this box.
As I was digging through there, on my hands and knees, like a fucking like a child.
Oh, and sidebar, I told him, show up early to the studio
Yeah.
today because you're gonna want to.
Yeah,
Again,
and,
without revealing everything.
and he was right. And like Cobra Snow Guy,
Yeah.
like he was one of my fucking regulars. I showed Shipwreck already. Hi, Sad Monkey. Was it Sad Monkey? Shipwreck is my name. This is probably how my voices thing started too, by the way.
Oh, with toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Copperhead.
Copperhead. I didn't know his name.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name
He's
is
got
Copperhead.
he's got a Tiger Force version also, which I think he was right on top here. Hold on.
And then the twins. So I had the fucking twins, and the fucking twins, their heads made it onto a lot of other fucking figures.
Yeah, Copperhead had an alternate version too later on.
Oh, I never even saw this one. Jesus.
Yeah, that was my favorite version of him, obviously. But
He's got a very bright fucking pair of underoos on.
yeah, but that was the thing too, is they fucking milked that shit for as much as they could. They would take molds and they would redo them with just a different color palette and sell it as a brand new figure. And
Yeah.
we bought them all.
Yes.
Fuck, I forgot where I was gonna go with this, but sorry, I was reading the Big Lovin's comment.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brady. I do appreciate the kind comment.
Yeah, Zartan is in here. The Indian guy. Where's the Indian guy? I know I saw him.
He's in the box.
Yeah, I saw the Indian guy. I remember having him. Sergeant Slaughter.
Yep.
There's versions of Sergeant Slaughter that are over here in vehicle and
Yep.
standing there. So I remember I had Sergeant Slaughter. I had one of the fucking dog guys. There's
Mutt.
a couple of different ones. The one that had the German Shepherd.
Well, here, you're probably thinking Mutt. You're probably thinking this guy.
Oh, I thought there was a guy that had the German Shepherd.
Oh, maybe not. Show the people, since we've
Since you ain't got it, and he's got the fucking leash and everything, and he's in pristine condition.
Yep.
Hang on.
Because again, that's the way we rolled. Yeah, good stuff. His face mask is somewhere else, but it's still there. So intermixed in all of these stories, I do want to show you one thing, because you mentioned Zartan. So Zartan was, and we'll show the people at home.
I remember that episode.
He changed color in the light. If you remember, if you put him in the sunlight, he would change color. His skin would get really dark.
Right.
You know.
It was like when the hypercolor thing was in vogue.
And he had the chameleon, like not a jet ski, but it was like almost like a sled type vehicle. And if you got it wet, it changed colors.
Right.
So one day we're playing at Rob's house, and I'm like, so he changes color in the sunlight. We figured that out. I'm like, if you get him close enough to a light, like a light bulb, would that go out? And Rob had a lamp in his room. So I propped Zartan up against the fucking lamp in his room to see if his skin was changed color. Forgot about him. And if you see his foot right there, his
look.
right foot, it's fucking melted because the foot was against the fucking light. And I forgot about it. And then when I got him out, I'm like, oh shit. And his foot has been melted like that ever since, because
Zartan has a club foot because Jason abused him.
and did not change color in unnatural light. So yeah, it has to be sunlight for some reason.
Dude, do you remember the fucking it's probably the UV. It probably needs UV light to do it.
But he also has the masks, like the
Yeah.
different faces.
I remember that episode. I remember that cartoon when that fucking. There was like it was like a 2 or 3 parter, wasn't it? That he was in.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, and we haven't even talked about the cartoon really. And that was, again, this is the brilliance of these toy companies, mostly Hasbro, in the fucking 80s.
Yeah, he was an MP with the dog.
Oh. Yeah. Got those too. We'll dig them out later.
I'm sure they're in here, dude. Like, legitimately, and this is why I wish Rick was in here. The fucking the amount, just the sheer volume of the GI Joe. It's a GI Joe museum right now.
Yeah,
it really is. It is a GI Joe museum, and I feel like I'm behind the curtain to be able to fucking like, oh, I can touch this fucking OG shipwreck from 1985. I can just get my little dick beaters on here. Oh, do you want me to fucking? I put in, actually, for this shipwreck, I put a new fucking O-ring in them when we got here.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. Like we talked about, these things were so. Oh yeah, we were trying to talk about the cartoon, but we got sidetracked. We'll get back to the cartoon. These figures, the way that they were built is they had the fucking screw in the back and you could take them apart. You could mix and match parts, but you could also repair them when that fucking O-ring broke, which happened all the time. In fact, a lot of these figures, after I pulled them out of storage from Scott's house, like when I went to pick them up, they would just immediately rip apart because those O-rings are so fucking old now. Like some of them are those original O-rings from the 80s.
Shit.
They just like ripped apart like fucking paper.
Those guys from 82, I mean, we're sitting here, they're fucking 40 years old.
Yeah.
Those figures are 40 years old.
Yep.
They look damn good for 40 years old.
Well, yeah, and I can guarantee you their O-rings have been replaced over the years. Yeah. But yeah, you could repair them, you could mix and match. In fact, I wanted to show you, I already told Dave this before the show, but I've got this repair kit, I've got a bag of fucking O-rings, and another thing that was kept in all of Rob's stuff, this screwdriver, which may not seem like anything to anybody out there. This is the fucking screwdriver that Rob and I used in the 80s to fix our G.I. Joes. Like, this is the exact fucking screwdriver that we used to repair everything. It's got the fucking magnet end.
Yeah.
It's got this, and it's fucking WCC, Westinghouse Credit Corporation, which I guess was an old bank in our hometown. It's like one of those things they give out free. But yeah, this was the fucking screwdriver, and it was mixed in with all the other stuff.
Yeah. And it works perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because once you had a perfect fucking fit for that screwdriver, because this is before you could go to Walmart and just, I need something, I can go get it. Mm-hmm. No, once you got hold of something, like, oh, fuck, you need to keep that.
Yeah.
And fucking do it, because you couldn't just get anything that you wanted. So, fancy boy here with his fucking O-rings.
Yeah.
Peasants like me, when the fucking band would break, I'd be using rubber bands.
Oh, and I'd seen that. People would, you'd have to like double wrap a rubber band in
double,
there.
Triple, fucking quadruple wrap a fucking rubber band in there to fucking make it be legitimate. And it was a trial and error thing too, because you would get, like, my dad got the newspaper, right? So we always had the fucking newspaper rubber bands.
Yeah.
So it'd be you'd have to stretch it first because you get a dry rotted one already and it would fucking snap in the middle of. So he was like, okay, how many turns do I need? And you try and put them back together, and it's still fucking, still fucking loose. And like, all right, now I'm fucking do another wrap. Yeah, it was always a fucking challenge. But yeah, the fact that, hey, this toy's not broken forever.
Yeah.
We sat here and we fucking put new bands and fucking 2 of these guys.
Yeah, and I left the stuff out specifically so Dave would see it, and so he would start fucking repairing stuff. And sure enough, like,
I fucking, before he even got here, I put one back together.
Yeah.
I put one of the twins back together. So yeah, can't help,
because I knew
you can't help yourself. It's what you do. It's like, oh shit, there's his fucking torso. Here's his fucking panties. There's the make sure I got the right legs.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times too, their crotch would break. Like if you played with them too hard, their fucking crotch would snap off. Because I've got a lot of figures here that the crotches are broken, and you know, we'd have to like put replacement crotches on them and stuff like that. So
gotta change their panties. Yeah, I could probably use one of those as well.
So we've got so much still to talk about. We got to talk about the cartoon. I have got so many more stories to talk about. But we do need to take a very quick break. And you're ready to do that now?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back and continue this after this very quick word from our sponsors.
Colt 45 is the dynamite taste.
You saw the space shuttle too, right?
Oh yeah, I did.
I left that one out front and center just so you could see it.
Yeah, yeah. I got to get my little dick beaters on that. Like, for if like, oh God, I wish. Like, I'm trying to see. I can't point into his stuff enough. I wish I had a laser pointer, a laser, but just the SR-71 mock-up. What's amazing? So it's as being an aviation guy, right? I'm looking at some of these. And like the X30 and the X31, right? The X30 being the Joe version, the 31 is the Cobra version, right? Those were like mock-ups of actual aircraft, and they just change a little bit just to, I don't know, for either for patenting purposes or whatever. But like the reverse wing design, that was actually a concept. They got the SR-71 looking thing. It's like a combination of the SR-71 and the Valkyrie, because it's got the canards on the front, and the SR-71 had a drone that it could piggyback off the back, and that mock-up, it's there on the back. You can kind of see it. You see it with the drone on the back, which I think you can put a figure in that one, but just the fucking the level of detail that they put into these fucking vehicles, it's all. I know when I was coveting these things, I just like, man, I just want to get it. I don't want to fly these things around. Just all I want to do. All right, my turn.
Yep. So I don't want to say too much without spoiling it. But what I can do is, like I mentioned, the space shuttle. This was one of the G.I. Joe space shuttles. It opened up on top, and it had another little ship inside. That was one thing that they were really good at too, was they would make these vehicles that had other like smaller vehicles inside. But my favorite vehicle of all time is Rolling Thunder. Now, this might be hard to kind of like show everybody, but I'm going to try. So this is Rolling Thunder. Now, it may just look like a big vehicle with a bunch of weapons on it. Fuck, I have no room to do this. But you can take this off. You can slide the big gun back. Open up these. Open up these. Open up these. Open up these. And... pay no attention. These big-ass missile silos fucking come up. And these are fucking huge. Look at that. Look at that. There's two of these big-ass missiles inside. So, I'm just dropping stuff. Don't worry. This has all been through worse. I was showing them Rolling Thunder. And again, so much detail in these vehicles. So many moving parts. So many parts that can be lost or broken. But yeah, just tons of moving parts. And we're going to get into what I'm going to be doing about restoring these. Oh, man. Yeah, I fucked this one up, didn't I? That's all right. It's all good. All right, you ready to roll? He's playing with some of the other vehicles in the totes. Like, I couldn't put even half of the vehicles out here on display that we had. So.
And he's not kidding.
Yeah.
Like, he's not even exaggerating.
Yeah, and again, like, I'll show you the figures. This isn't even everything, but this is a big ass deep box filled. These are complete figures in here. These are all figures. Ah, yes, the Tiger Force helicopter. They had the little switch on the side that you push, and again, we got the canopy and the missiles and everything. They're somewhere. It's just, I ran out of time to fucking put all this shit together yesterday. Like, I had this whole elaborate plan. I was gonna set up this massive battle scene with hundreds of fucking figures on each side, but it just ran out of time. Open up the top of that. I don't think you saw that, but open up those two top, the doors.
Open the pod bay doors, Al.
Yeah. And there's another smaller ship inside.
Man. God. I saw this on the commercials and I wanted it so bad.
And there were even other space shuttle playsets that were even bigger than that he did not have. But anyway, whenever you're ready, give me a countdown and we'll...
Ow! Why did I do that? That was dumb.
What did you do?
I smashed the fucking things on my head.
Okay.
That was dumb.
All right.
Ready?
Yes. And we're back. So let's talk about the cartoon really quick before we like reindulge in more toy stuff.
Okay.
Like they were doing to us in the fucking 80s, they were, co-branding these like toy lines with fucking cartoons. We saw it with He-Man was huge with that. G.I. Joe, obviously, fucking Thundercats, all that stuff. Transformers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So they were really smart about that, and G.I. Joe was no different. And but it started off as a comic book first before they started getting into the animated show. But by the time they got to the animated show, we'd already had some established characters. So we were able to kind of jump right out the gate. We had like our Dukes and our Snake Eyes and our fucking Cobra Commander and Destro, Baroness, all those characters already. So we were able to kind of jump in and get to it. And the cartoons were basically a commercial for the toys.
Yeah.
But they were fun. They were just like these heavy military battles with no casualties,
Right.
Because they made a point, and you see it even in the intro, like the intro video with the theme music. They're shooting down fucking Cobra planes, but they'd always parachute out.
Everyone gets out alive.
Yeah, nobody died, and that was obviously you're marketing to kids, so
Right.
you gotta.
It's which is funny too, because you think about it, it's like, oh my god. So it's just, how do you fund these wars? Like,
And that's what I was wondering, because
war of attrition.
Because, when they were creating this, they're like, well, we can't make the enemy Russia, right? We don't want to cause like a fucking diplomatic situation and saying that their enemy is Russia. And at first, their first idea was there was no enemy. Again, if you watch The Toys That Made Us, they cover this. They're like, oh, we just envisioned that, your G.I. Joes would be fighting against your Star Wars toys, or they would be fighting against your big robot that you have or whatever. And those would be the enemies. And then, the guy who was...
Which, I mean, that happened.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
that happened.
But you still have to have your empire, right? So Cobra was created, and it was like really on a whim. Like the way the Cobra side came about, it was just like off the top of somebody's fucking head.
All right. Cobra. Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
And in my opinion, just like with Star Wars, the enemies basically have the better, cooler look to them.
Look at this guy. I mean, look at this fucking guy. Look at him.
Well,
and this is the snow guy, right? Snow guy with fucking. He's got a mask on, but he's fucking. This is a better fucking player. It's a better character, right?
Yeah.
Here.
And then, of course, you had fucking Cobra Commander either with the silver face, or you had him with the fucking the hood.
I didn't like him in the hood. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to Cobra Commander.
But then you had fucking Destro, with the silver head. He was pretty awesome looking. You had Baroness, Storm Shadow, the fucking ninja. And, they had that fucking Cobra symbol on everything, right? Yep. The red Cobra symbol. And
just
if you
like
look,
having the Empire logo on
exactly. It's like that's their branding, right? That's what we do. And you see it, like their vehicles are cooler. They've got the fucking Cobra symbols on them. But
what's funny too is like, so I had this moment when I got here, and I was sifting through the figures, and current me is way more focused on like Empire, and like the things I'm drawn to now are definitely more the Cobra characters, right?
Lots of Empire stuff.
Lots of Empire stuff. But when I was a kid, I was definitely more leaned into the fucking good guys.
Yeah, and I think we were too.
And-
Me and Rob were too. But like as we've gotten older, I'm like, oh yeah, Cobra was so much cooler.
Yeah, and because I had the Sergeant Slaughters, and I had the good guys.
Yeah.
Right, and but now, like, dude, fucking the Cobra. This is the shit. Aside from Snake Eyes,
Yeah.
but maybe it's I don't like to see their faces. I don't know. Maybe I may have something like that. But dude, it's definitely a difference.
Yeah.
for sure. But Joe's had the better vehicles.
They did. Yeah.
Joe's had definitely the better fucking vehicles.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like the opposite of the Decepticons with the fucking Autobots, where the Decepticons were kind of cooler.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, as Transformers. Now the fucking GI Joe. The Joes had the fucking vehicles. I mean, look at it. Look at the buggy. Like you got your space shuttle.
Yep.
GI Joe space shuttle. You've got Dune buggy of Justice. You've got fucking this other Dune buggy.
Yeah.
And you got some weird armored fucking Mad Max thing. That
and
Cobra
that's a
has.
Cobra thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mad Max. Remember that when we talk about stuff later.
I won't, but okay.
The bridge layer. The bridge layer was awesome. The troop transport was
and
awesome.
that bridge layer is a fucking that's a bridge layer.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
And a lot
in
of
real
these
life.
vehicles are based off of real life vehicles, like the SR-71.
Yeah, I was talking about that during the break. That SR-71, whichever, I don't know what they call it now.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of the SR-71 and a Valkyrie, because it has the canards on the front and it has the drone on the back. And an SR-71 or the A-21 had a fucking drone that they could put on the back. So fucking absolutely just awesomeness, just awesome.
Yeah. And of course, like getting back to the cartoon.
Oh yeah, the cartoon.
It had its whole share of characters. I know the Orange and Fett show, they covered the G.I. Joe movie, which, introduced a whole, they kind of went the whole Transformers, the movie with that, like introducing like Serpentor and a bunch of other new characters and like, oh, this is how we make new toys, and introduce them to the kids. But and every episode of the show always ended with the lesson. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And now I know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Which, no self-respecting male in their fucking, right now in their late 30s, early 40s, you have to say that.
Yeah. If somebody says, and now I know, and you gotta go,
and
knowing is half the battle.
If you don't say that, then we know you're a fraud.
Yeah.
Like, that's the code.
And it was everything, like all kinds of lessons. Like I remember the one that they showed in the Toys That Made Us was the fucking sunscreen one. Make sure you wear lots of sunscreen and stay out of the sun if you've been out there for more than 10 minutes.
Right.
And now I know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. So yeah, it was fucking great. And now, as much as I loved G.I. Joe, the toys, the cartoon was so-so. Like, I was more into the cartoons of your Thundercats, Transformers and all that, but less into the toys of those. And I was more into the toys of G.I. Joe and less of the TV show.
Which makes sense, right? Because G.I. Joe, we could use, like, especially fucking when you have all the vehicles and shit, but your imagination is fully in play with these, right? So you're making your own cartoon.
Yeah.
With G.I. Joe. Like, I don't think I ever got the Thundercats figures.
I had a couple of them. But it was, again, never anything like this, or never even anything like how I was with He-Man back in the day.
No, I mean, He-Man was kind of one for one with that. Transformers definitely was, I don't know, that was kind of even too.
Yeah, see, I had a very small portion. I did have Optimus Prime.
So small.
But yeah.
So small.
But, I had a small collection of Transformers. It wasn't much. And any G.I. Joes that I got, because I did have my own G.I. Joes, but I just absorbed them right into Rob's collection. So everything that I got just went right into our G.I. Joes.
Right.
Which is, again, one of the reasons why I kind of felt I don't want to say the word entitled, because entitled has sort of a negative connotation to it, but I feel like the collection was always meant to come to me.
It was destined.
Yeah.
It was destined to be here.
Yeah. And so you talk about the whole imagination, creativity thing. So in the early days, in the early 80s, that's how we played G.I. Joe. It was, this is Duke and this is Storm Shadow and this is Snake Eyes and blah, 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 blah. Very quickly, though, we let our imaginations take over, and we created
Imagination.
our whole universe for this. Like, these weren't, those guys anymore. Like, this wasn't Storm Shadow anymore. This was Assassin kind of thing, because we made our whole fucking separate universe, and that's where we stayed for the rest of the time we were actually playing with them as toys. And, and I just have some examples here because I brought some more figures. Like,
Nice.
The two main good guys were the figures you see here, known as Muskrat and Falcon, but they were actually, in our universe, that was Swamp Surfer and his brother Boogie Boarder. And those were the two main bad guys. Swamp Surfer, because the Muskrat actually comes with a surfboard that like attaches to his back, and then you can put it on his legs and he can like surf. Okay. So that's kind of how that came about. He was Swamp Surfer and Boogie Boarder, and they were the two main good guys in this army, in this like post-apocalyptic Mad Max type of future that we had created.
Okay.
Their main villain was this guy. Most of you know him as Road Pig, but his name in our universe was Big White Man. Because he was raised by Native Americans. Okay. And he was very large for his age, so he was always known by the Native American tribe that raised him as Big White Man. So he was the main bad guy in all of this.
Fucking brilliant.
And I could tell you so many fucking stories about like this whole universe we created and who all of these fucking characters were. It would take a long time, but that's
Write
how
that shit down, man.
Well, and like our first big war, let me just took place on this. Hold that for really quick. So that fucking boat was a Cobra boat, and we loved this. And when it's got all of its attachments, it looks a hell of a lot cooler. There's like fucking missiles and guns and turrets and everything, and this thing opens up. There's more fucking missiles under there.
Right.
And this was probably the baddest ass vehicle we had at the time in the mid 80s when we started doing this. So this was Big White Man's fucking ship, and he had all his fucking cronies, and they were just like dominating the fucking area. And Swamp Surfer and Boogie Boarder had to come, and they had to fight him off, and it was this big fucking thing. And they had their little jeeps and stuff, and a couple of like smaller vehicles. But these guys ruled the fucking. It was Waterworld before Waterworld. Like, this was again like 5 years before Waterworld came out. So we were really ahead of our times with that. Sorry. So yeah, I could go into detail for hours about this little universe that we created, but that's what we did. And every time we we picked up new figures, it was like somebody new coming into the fray. And there was a period of time, because we were both into pro wrestling, where the wars ended and all of our soldiers became pro wrestlers. In fact, this little landing pad that came with one of the bases, this was our wrestling ring when our guys became wrestlers. And this crack on the side, you can't really see it on the video, but there's a crack on the side here that happened because we were playing with it too hard. Like, we were just fucking like constantly slamming guys into this fucking landing pad, and eventually created this big crack in the side. And we're like, fuck, all right, we're gonna have to like pivot and do something else. So we found like a different wrestling ring. So
I highly doubt they said fuck at that age.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. There were some other things that we integrated into what we played, some things that were not G.I. Joes. Because like you mentioned, you had the Millennium Falcon and you'd have your Joes and the Falcon. We do some similar stuff. One thing that you might find very interesting. Hold that. That
Magnum PI
is
card.
Yeah, look at the top. It says Magnum PI.
Oh, yeah, look, it says
that
Magnum
is a
PI on it.
Magnum PI fucking toy card that is perfect. It is a perfect fucking size for G.I. Joes. They fit in there fucking so just smoothly.
Yeah.
And that was another one of our main vehicles, was that Magnum fucking PI car.
Yeah. It's Ferrari, what was it? 980? Ferrari 980?
Oh, I have no idea.
Say on the bottom. 1982.
Yeah. So that was one of our main vehicles, was that fucking Magnum PI car. We repurposed so much stuff. I got some more. First of all, I'm sure you saw this. Remember fucking Sucrets?
Oh, yeah.
And these fucking tin metal containers? This is some Sucrets from the fucking probably late 80s that we kept a bunch of weapons in until it was like we had too many weapons to fit in it.
Or
Something,
it doesn't stay closed anymore, and
Right.
the rubber band broke that was keeping it closed.
something else that we kept that we still use for storage. These Burger King fucking kids meals. These hard plastic fucking like lunch pail containers. Have one of these that we have like a million of the fucking stands in. Like if you can see in the light, the little fucking stands that you put them on. There's like 100 in here. Some more stuff that we repurposed.
You know what's funny? I don't even remember the stands. Like when you were showing me the stands, I'm
Really?
like, yeah, I don't remember the stands at all.
Oh wow, that's because yeah, those were great. Like especially for displaying them.
I never displayed them.
Yeah, well.
If they weren't like on the floor after like post play, they were in a toy box.
Yeah.
Like they were never a display option.
Well, you talked about retro Legos. This we also used for storage for a while until it became not big enough. But that's an old school Lego box. It's got the Lego symbol engraved, and it opens up, and it would store Legos. But of course, again, we repurposed it for GI Joe stuff. There's a date on the inside. What does it say?
This says. It doesn't say.
Oh, there's no date.
No, it just says Lego System Incorporated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
That's only gonna hold. I mean, that'll hold a fair amount of Legos.
Yeah. But you know, again, we're talking the 80s. So
Yeah.
But yeah, this is this old school fucking Lego carrying case.
That's fucking awesome.
We had to keep our figures somewhere. So one of the things that we repurposed was this old Star Wars figure carrying case that had these hard plastic
Yeah, the trays.
trays that you could slip all kinds of figures in there. And we use these to store like our favorite figures would be stored in these.
I use those for fucking cars.
Yeah. Well, funny you should mention that. Because when these got full, we had to start repurposing some Hot Wheels cases.
Oh, nice.
So if you open this up, it's got the little
Yes! Oh my god!
Yeah. So we had to repurpose these because we had so many fucking figures and we were, we wanted to keep them all handy and we had our way of storing them.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I had so many because I had so many cars. I had so many of those fucking those milk crate looking motherfuckers.
So something else that happened in the early 90s as the G.I. Joe's popularity was starting to wane because, let's face it, we were all getting older at that point. Those of us who were growing up with G.I. Joes were by 91, 92, we were starting to turn 15. 92. Starting to turn 15, 16. We were starting to, get more interested in more older type things like driving and stuff like that. And we were also playing a lot of video games. Do you remember some of the video games we were playing a lot of in the early 90s? Because I can tell you two.
Mario Brothers.
Well, I can tell you two in particular. A couple of fighting games called Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Yep.
Well, as it so happens...
I saw those in there. I saw it.
Oh, but you didn't see this.
I did not see that. What the fuck?
As it so happens, they made a whole slew of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat fucking G.I. Joe crossover figures. So you've got your Bisons, your Balrogs, your fucking Blankas.
Oh my god.
One of many versions of Shang Tsung. All in the G.I. Joe style of figures with the fucking screws in the back, in most of the backs anyway. Johnny Cage. Fucking Scorpion. We got Sub-Zero. Fucking Ken. We got Ryu in here. We've got Zangief. You're a bad guy. But that does not mean you're a bad guy. So go ahead, take a peek-see if you'd like.
Oh my god.
So yeah, we also, because we were collectors of everything, when all the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat fucking G.I. Joe figures came out, we got them all as well. I got to buy them. Not Piston Honda, but Honda.
Yeah.
E-Honda was his name. Yes.
Look at the size of him.
Yeah.
He's got fucking
Yeah, they have like
action legs.
Yep.
Oh, I wanted to see fucking if Thunder Thighs had Thunder Thighs, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Yeah, they
disappointed.
did not do a good job with the girls in those sets. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
There's another.
Yeah,
fucking
because they had multiple colors of them. They had the blue version of Honda and the white version of Honda.
Japan.
Yeah. but yeah, the Mortal Kombat figures are in there. There should be a Kano in there.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Look at him. Look
Yeah.
at him. He's got his little
Raiden.
hat.
Yep.
She's karate chop.
Yeah. Now, see the style that he's in that doesn't have the screw in the back. They printed a lot of those when they started doing the Ninja Force fucking figures in GI Joe, where they stopped doing the fucking screw in the back because they have all these mechanical like actions with the arms or the waists, but that prevented you from being able to take them apart and reassemble them. So when those ones break, they're fucking done. So that's why I'm trying to be like really careful with the ones that don't have the ability to disassemble them.
No disassemble.
Right. I'm trying to think. There's one other big thing that I'm gonna reveal here in a little bit, but let's stay on target. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
I'm just gonna really quick get back into my notes.
Oh, that Magnum PI vehicle was a Ferrari 308.
Oh well, thank you, chat.
That was Scott from
Scott
Use and Abuse podcast helping out on that one.
Okay, so did you ever read any of the GI Joe comics?
No.
Okay, so I gotta
1.
Yeah, I gotta say that was something that Rob and I were into was the GI Joe comics because we bought all of those too. They had some really good fucking stories in those. In fact, most people know Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes as just like bitter rivals. You know, you got Snake Eyes as the full black, Storm Shadow as the white ninja with Cobra. In the comics, they started forming like a bond and a friendship. Even though they were kind of like rivals on a different team, and like their story went into this like crazy different realm. There were crossovers where they crossed over with the Transformers in some of the issues of the comics. There was an issue of the comics where they called Unmaskings, where you saw fucking Cobra Commander, Destro, and Snake Eyes without their fucking masks on. So a lot of really interesting stuff going on in the comics, which I wanted to reread some of those in preparation for the show, but again, no fucking time. But there's some really good stories in those old Marvel comics.
They're Marvel.
Yeah, they were Marvel back in the day. So, because that was the thing, as part of this whole massive like co-branding, you know, in addition to the fucking the show and the toys, they cut this deal with Marvel to fucking write these comics.
That's right. He did say it was Marvel.
Yeah, to get those
makes me want to look.
To get those stories out there. And yeah, those are early Marvel comics. They were good. There were some really good stories in those. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that Rob and I were really big into the comics as well. There was also an NES game for G.I. Joe that got released probably like 92, 93 time frame. No, 90 or 91. Because I have a video, like a home video of me and my friends at my friend Scott's birthday party, our freshman year of high school, and like we're playing the NES in the background, and I'm playing the fucking G.I. Joe NES game in that.
So what kind of game format was it?
It was like a side scroller shooting game.
Okay.
Think Contra, but far less punishing. And you could pick from a bunch of different characters. So yeah, it was like a side scrolling shooting game. Really fun. And you know, there were ways that they were keeping the brand alive until it got canceled in 94. 94.
God, the day we take it off the fucking board.
I know. God, I should have taken something else off. Fuck. I'm so stupid.
Well, you couldn't take off Babu.
Right. No, because we always got to be able to go.
Hey!
And, you know, I was hoping that you would say something inflammatory again so I could use our other new drop.
How dare you?
But haven't had an opportunity.
I'm trying to
yet.
not say the inflammatory thing that I
Has that been in your head this whole time?
the whole fucking time?
Oh, and the shitty thing is you can't even tell the story on the show.
I'm not going to tell it. It's awful. It's awful. Let me tell you that fucking yeah.
Kids are awful.
Kids are bad.
Yeah.
It's not something that I did. It's something that had happened at the bus stop as a child.
Yeah.
To another human being, and at the time I was just happy it wasn't happening to me. I'll put it to you that way.
So something that I have written in here is like, what are my future plans for this? First of all, if you like all of these toys and you like kind of want to go back and look at old pictures of all the toys and whatnot, go to yojoe.com, yojoe.com. They have pictures of every fucking toy in there, all separated by year It's brilliant. Like if you want to just go and be like, oh, I used to own that. Yojo.com, everywhere. And that's going to kind of tie into what my plans are from here with all of these toys. Because like I said, I'm never selling these. The trouble that I went through to finally come into possession of these and everything, it was never going to be to sell them. I'm going to keep these, like I said, until the day I die. And as a tribute to Rob and everything, I'm going to put everything back together over the next, I don't know, probably several years at this point. Because we've got boxes and boxes and boxes of accessories and missiles and fucking just pieces. And I've got to, find all of this shit, separate it, put everything back together. So I'm going to spend the next few years restoring as much of this stuff as I can back to format. And one of the ways that I'm going to be able to do this is because there are some parts that are just hard broken, like a piece would snap, like a little rivet would snap or something like that. There is a massive community that has popped up apparently in the last few years that I've only just recently become aware of in the last couple of weeks. And that's the 3D printing community.
Oh, yes.
So 3D printing is huge right now with G.I. Joe collectors and people who are restoring old broken vehicles, because now they've got all these fucking schematics all over online. They 3D print these fucking new pieces and put them back together and kind of like, make the vehicle new again.
Right.
Fuck. There are people out there that are completely printing vehicles like this from scratch, like all on the 3D printer. Like that SR-71, I saw schematics online where you can get the fucking 3D schematics and print the whole fucking thing piece by piece.
Wow.
And assemble it. It's a lot of effort.
It's probably cheaper to just find one and used and buy it, probably. But
yeah,
that's still pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, so that's something I'm gonna do. Is I'm going to restore all of these vehicles to the best I can. Find some way to display them. It's probably gonna have to be in my garage. That's the last place where I have some fucking free space. Because unfortunately they can't take up real estate in here because we need room for the
sacred Jedi Pixies!
So those are coming back eventually. But
I think saying that there's there's got to be a space on there for at least something.
Yeah,
just something quick and
something as a simple tribute to.
Yeah, it's something that's can be visible for everyone to remind even just about this show.
Yeah,
this because this is the beginning of a fitting tribute. So I would imagine you'll find the right piece, but there definitely should be some room amongst all of the other toys for this.
Yeah, so that's something we'll have to eventually figure out. So speaking of 3D printing.
Okay.
So last week I revealed this guy, and for anybody who didn't see him, this custom version of a Bats figure done in the Mandalorian style. Right. So it's like, oh, where did that come from? How did that happen? Well, there is also a community of people who are making custom Joe figures. There's like one guy in particular, he calls himself Black Major, and he does these custom G.I. Joe builds based off of 3D printing. And I just so happen to have a sampling of some of these Black Major custom G.I. Joe works, and I'll just hand this over to Dave, and you can just peruse.
These are all fucking
those
3D
are all
printed?
3D printed custom G.I. Joe figures based off of original molds and models that this guy 3D printed. Like, here, hand me that one. I'll show this. These are just some examples. These are Storm Shadows that he just did in solid colors, but you got a purple and a blue Storm Shadow. I got all kinds of custom Bats figures. When that's one of the Cobra Viper dudes. And yeah. So this is a custom version of one of these Viper dudes. I can't remember their fucking names. Yeah.
Superman Snake Eyes?
Yeah, so they took the Snake Eyes body and they printed the fucking Superman colors on him. And like there's just
oh, that's a cool Bats figure.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yep. So check this guy out. Gray, red, and black. Sweet aesthetic here.
That looks like an original.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. they're able to print these to look damn near like the originals. Like there's ways to tell.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have the made in Hong Kong on the ass.
Yeah, so there's ways to tell the difference, but
That's a fucking...
yeah. Let me see. I'll show the people. You know, it's just a basic Cobra soldier, but this is a Black Major custom figure.
He likes doing the bats.
Yep. So
You got a fucking Punisher
Yeah.
version.
yeah, a Punisher Snake Eyes.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's
So yeah,
does this make you want to get a fucking 3D printer?
yeah, well, I probably wouldn't print figures like this because, you know, you got to go into a lot of detail. You got to paint them. You've got to get the fucking rivets to put the arms together. It's a lot of work. So I just went onto eBay and bought a bunch of shit. And just go onto eBay, type in G.I. Joe Black Major, and you'll see a ton of shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So that's something else that I've been looking at. Like, I love these too. Like, he'll do them in like no colors at all, like a Bats figure.
Well, it reminds you of the prototype fucking
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like prototype looking. And one last thing that I'm gonna do is like I'm not gonna try to collect every Black Major figure because he's still releasing new stuff like every day. Like I just saw some new stuff pop up a couple weeks ago. However, there are a finite number of this style G.I. Joe printed in the 3 3/4 inch format with the screws in the back and everything else. You know, like I said, they stopped printing them in like 2008 with the conventions. But there's a finite number of these that Hasbro produced themselves. One of my goals is to eventually collect them all. Like I want every single one of the G.I. Joe figures from the Real American Hero style. Because that's what these are referred to as ARAH, a Real American Hero. That's this line of toys, as compared to some of the other ones.
So that's like what, the 82 to
94 essentially, and then 94, and then they've produced some subsequently in the
that's
later
a lot
years.
of fucking figures.
It is.
Because they came out with a lot of just variations and
Oh yeah, well, but you've obviously seen I have a lot of them in my possession
this
already.
is true. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to use that yojo.com and I'm just going to start making a list of everything I don't have. And so in addition to the
sacred Jedi Pixies!
I'll also be collecting the Sacred Jedi G.I. Joes. Speaking of Black Series, because they're Hasbro, and because of the success of Black Series, G.I. Joe now has a line called G.I. Joe Classified, which is their version of Black Series. They're 6-inch figures in the Black Series level of detail in cool fucking packaging. And I'm fighting with every inch in my being to not buy those. As tempting as it would be, just look one up. Just look at.
I don't want to.
Look at Tomax and Seima. You talked about the twins.
Yeah.
Look at their fucking classified figures.
No,
They're fucking gorgeous.
I don't want to. I really don't want to.
Yeah, no, trust me.
Because-
I am trying to fight with everything in my being because I can't. I'm too focused on the Black Series, and I need to get these Joes in order. I can't start a new line like that. But dude, I'm telling you, they're fucking awesome. They really are.
I don't need that in my life, Jason.
Trust me, I know. I'm right there with you.
I've got fucking Legos to deal with.
I know,
Between
dude.
I've finally fucking gone to Flight Idol on the Pops because I've got Lego issues.
Trust me, I know.
It's a sickness, god damn it.
Yeah, but those just look at one of the classified figures. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But yeah, so that's where they're going with that. Now, all of the toys that came out between 95 and fucking before they made the classifieds, those other like 3 3/4 inch figures.
Oh fuck you,
I know, right? Which one are you looking at?
Slaughter.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, dude. Look at Tomax and Seimot. Theirs are fucking just. Mwah!
The AK.
Hold on, let me see if I can like pull one up and share my screen.
Look at the fucking detail on his face with the glasses and the hat off. Oh my god! Jason, you're an asshole.
Look, you were gonna eventually see him anyway.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was not. This was not going to be a thing.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen really quick if I can.
Fucking hell.
Actually, let me get that up there. There you go. You can see that guy right there. Reactor. I know this is fucking riveting for anybody.
Yeah, the listening audience is not, the listening audience needs to fucking just Google G.I. Joe Classified. And
look at that.
Yeah. Bring up the Slaughter one. Now, our generation.
Now, look at that packaging, too. Oh.
Yeah. Bring up the Slaughter one.
All right, Sergeant Slaughter.
I think it's a GameStop exclusive.
Well, I mean, it started to autocomplete, so...
I mean...
God damn.
Right?
Look at that face.
Yeah. So, go see if it'll show the picture with... Yeah, look at that. Look at the fucking detail. That looks like Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
That looks like it looked like when he was wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Jones.
Yeah. Good shit.
It's disgusting. I can't do it.
So one of the things I was considering doing this weekend was going over to Play With This Toys and Collectibles over in Merchantville and just buying one classified series to bring it in. I'm like, no.
Have them over there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen them there before, but I'm like, no.
God damn it.
Because the second I buy one of those, it's going to open up that fucking floodgate. I'm like, I can't. I can't.
Don't fucking do it.
No, my focus is going to be with the A Real American Hero line, finishing those and restoring what I have. So
I can't do it. Don't.
I'm not making you do anything. I just wanted you to see it.
No,
that's all.
I was the song.
Oh, Real American Hero.
Yeah, I don't. It's just
GI
don't
is there.
No, so bad.
So that's kind of everything I had. Like I could still tell so many stories with me and Rob playing with all these to death, but I think you've kind of gotten the idea. This was such a crucial piece of my childhood, and a lot of it was because of this bond I had with my friend, who's unfortunately no longer with us. I almost forgot. I almost forgot one fucking thing. So I talked about this alternate universe that we created with the toys, right?
Yeah.
With all these characters. Swamp Surfer, Boogie Boarder, their arch enemy, Big White Man. There were two other characters that I didn't mention, and I set them aside specifically for this.
Big White Man. Fucking hilarious.
There were two last figures that I didn't talk about. These guys right here. Because in our universe, this was Jason and this was Robbie. Because we had ourselves
Nice.
as part of this. Our older selves were part of this army.
Nice.
And this one was me.
Jason had hair.
Yep. The glory days, and that one was Rob. And
Rob was obviously more handsome than you.
clearly, yeah, he had a way with the ladies too. But yeah, so we were in this universe ourselves too, and I just wanted to bring that up.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So, because as soon as I saw these two, I'm like,
oh man,
I gotta pull them aside.
That wouldn't have. I would have lost it.
Yeah,
I would have lost it. You're a better man than I.
Oh,
to hold it together.
Trust me. I went through all of the emotions, like going through this stuff for the first time
because kind of rounding it, circling back, rounding whatever, this connection we have, like this connection you have with this collection is something that is just transcends so much other things.
Yeah.
But just to toys in general, like I think everyone who's listening, people in the chat that are kind of riding along with this, and they're having their own moments with strawberry shortcake and jam I saw in the
it's whatever was your thing, because we all had different tastes and different thoughts, but there was so much out there for us to latch on to.
And this is how we exercised our imaginations, with these toys, and the level of detail that was presented to us with these toys,
and
was something that, okay, I don't need to imagine what this cardboard box is doing. I have it. I have all the detail work in here now. My imagination can focus on the story.
Yeah.
You know?
And think about it in this context too, the context of our generation. What are we known for? The latchkey kids.
Yeah.
The independent kids. You know, this was how we entertained ourselves and how we got by when we fucking got home from school and we were waiting
This
for.
is how we escaped.
Yeah.
This is how we escaped.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm sure a lot of us can talk about home lives that were not fun. And this, yeah, like you said, this is one of our big escapes.
Yeah. These toys, and even just the, you know, the handling and seeing these toys. This was our escape. This is how we. This is what we did.
Yeah.
And you know, seeing it and seeing all the toys, you know, I wonder if my kids got to have that same experience.
You know, and I've thought about that. And I've thought about, have other generations had the same experience? And I get the feeling that's not the case.
They had toys, and you know, they wanted toys and they wanted to play. You know, they had cars, and they had definitely had toys that they played with, but they also had their Nintendos. They had their 3DSs, and they had that stuff. So, but they had a toy box. I mean, like, you know, Jeff growing up had a lot of airplanes hanging from the ceiling, you know, and had a lot of visual aids, because he was, you know, you're talking about late 90s, early 2000s, you know, was when he was growing up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of a lost thing. These toys still exist. I mean, you can still go to a toy store and buy these toys for your children, but how much they're not going outside like we were.
Yeah.
And this was all day. You went outside all day, and this is what you did.
Yeah.
Until a parent came and got you.
Yeah. Or until a parent got home from work, or,
Right.
you know,
Right. Until the streetlights came on, and that's when you knew you had to be home.
Yeah.
You know, that's you went out and you played and you did this. Like for me, if I wasn't doing this and I had the ability to get away from the house, I went into the woods, and you know, which had a pocket full of Star Wars figures and GI Joes, and you know, they
Just get them all
yeah,
dirty in the mud.
Yeah,
and-
we had Endor fucking scenes while we were out there.
brilliant.
And it just, yeah, that's just what we did. So, yeah, fucking sidebar. We didn't even mention it. The
oh yeah, the Power Ranger guy, the Green Ranger,
yeah,
Tommy,
yeah, he passed away. I'm not sure of the circumstances, but
suicide.
was it? They confirmed that?
Yeah, 49 years old, killed himself.
Yeah, I mean, shit, that hits close, man, because that's right around our ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you know, Big Lovin', my kids were Power Rangers. You know, my younger cousins, that Power Rangers were a big part of what they got into. So
And yeah, what Sad Monkey's saying in the chat, that's a real thing. You can have your face put on a G.I. Joe classified figure.
what if they have them in like flight suits and shit? Like if you do
Yeah,
it,
I don't know what level of customization you can get with the figure
they have like the
attire, but
aircrew ones.
oh my god, we'd have to do that. We'd have to get us in flight suits.
Yeah.
Somebody put a pin in that. Remind us to look that up later.
Oh god, it's gonna be awful. Yeah. So. Yeah. Rest in peace, John. Was it John? Oh damn it!
Oh, I don't remember his real name.
I'm.
He was Tommy, the Green Ranger.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Somebody post in the chat so we can give him the appropriate acknowledgement. But yeah, so
Sorry, big white man fell. He was raised by Native Americans. That's what they called him.
yeah, the ironically the Indian guy is not represented right now.
He's here somewhere.
I know he's in there. I saw him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. Rest in peace, Green Ranger.
Yeah.
Jason Frank. Thank you. David Frank. Jason David Frank.
Thank you, Kelly.
He like me is somebody that has to deal with 3 names.
Yeah.
The David Keith Martin. Well, I have 4,
Yeah.
but yeah, I digress. Anyway, yeah, fucking toys and the emotions, these connections.
Yeah, it's something that can never be replaced, and I don't know if any generation can replicate it. At least nothing anytime soon. Not in the age of cell phones, fucking video game consoles, and all that. I think we're kind of a dying breed when it comes to this type of imagination and recreation as kids. It's a shame. We might be the last generation to have this kind of attachment to our toys. Well, you got a Pokemon generation. There was a generation that came right after us that was huge into fucking Pokemon, and I could see them being nostalgic forever.
Honestly, like one of the things Jeff got for he went for his birthday this year, he kind of wanted to go back to his like some inner child stuff. So it was a lot of Pokemon stuff.
Yeah,
he got him like a Squirtle.
Nice.
And like so he is, like you said, it's a Pokemon generation. So like getting cards and kind of going back into some of that stuff, and it's a vibrant community.
Yeah, like I thought it was going to die after like 3 or 4 years, but it's been going strong for 25 almost.
Yeah, the one thing I will say for Nintendo that they've taken, like, apparently you could have a fucking Pokemon that you've had since the fucking GameCube days or the
fucking original Game Boy. The
Game
first Pokemon games came out on the original black and white fucking Game Boy.
And you could have a Pokemon that goes and follows you all the way up until today.
Yeah.
So,
which is fucking incredible.
Good on them for maintaining that and keeping that fan base, and it continues to grow. So, and that's awesome. I'm happy for that. And if you can be passionate about something and it brings you joy, then that's fucking awesome.
Now, before we close out this topic, I just have one other question for you.
Okay.
Did you ever see the G.I. Joe movies, the new live action movies that came out over the last 10 years?
Which one did I see?
Because I can tell you that I did not, because I had such a love for this franchise that I didn't want it ruined for me.
So hang on, let me look up the G.I. Joe,
because I know one of them had The Rock in it. I think that was in the sequel, but the other one had like fucking Channing Tatum as like the main guy. Ray Park was Snake Eyes, which, by the way, I know I've told this story at least twice on the fucking podcast, but I'm going to do it again. I met Ray Park in Philadelphia. I was wearing a t-shirt that day that had silhouettes of a bunch of characters from our childhoods. There was a silhouette of He-Man on there, silhouette of like fucking Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes, the Thundercat dude, Lion-O, a bunch of other ones, right? And it was just like, it was the exact figure. Like you could tell, even just by the silhouette, you could tell what figure it was. And I met Ray Park, and he saw my shirt. He's like, "Oh, I fucking love your shirt." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." He's like, "Yeah, because I was Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe movie." I'm like, "Oh, that's right." And he like keyed in on the Snake Eyes silhouette in my shirt.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw the 2009 version with Channing Tatum.
Okay, so that was the first of the movies, because I think there were like 2 others. There was like the sequel that had The Rock, and then I think Snake Eyes got his own fucking spinoff.
I enjoyed this one because there's a hot redhead in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just.
Was it Amber Heard?
No, it was not. Listen, there. What I remember about this movie is it's just a fun action movie. It's not like hey, let's into the G.I. Joe lore. It's more like, oh, here's some G.I. Joe sprinkled on an action movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh wow, she's wow.
Who is she? All right, now I gotta fucking look this up, because what year did you say that was?
09.
G.I. Joe 2009 IMDb. The Rise of Cobra. Oh, hello. Okay.
Hello, what have we here?
Was that Karolina Kukova? No. Fucking why are you doing this to me, IMDb?
There's like a...
Oh, Rachel Nichols played Scarlet. That's probably who you're thinking. Who the fuck is Rachel Nichols? She's cute.
Aside from...
She was in the Star Trek reboot? Gala. Oh, she was the green-skinned alien that Kirk was fucking.
Nice.
So anyway, we digress. So yeah, I never saw the G.I. Joe live-action movies because, again, I was afraid that they were going to be like flaming turds.
That one was... I enjoyed that one.
Okay.
But again, it was just... a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, there was like what I remember of the movie. Honestly, is just her. Like there was a scene in the gym. With, it's like her and fucking one of the Wayans brothers, and he's like challenging her to do something, and she basically like kicks his ass or some shit like that.
Okay.
And it's fucking funny.
And you were in love from that moment on.
I tell you, popcorn movie,
Yep.
just worth it.
All right. So
I didn't see the other ones though.
yeah. Now, hopefully, this whole episode made sense. I know it was a lot of just sort of show and tell with the fucking toys and
Dude,
everything else.
there is
but
nothing better than this level of show and tell. If you're going to have an episode about toys, having a museum level fucking collection of toys behind you makes the episode legit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it was
And to have the story connected to it like this.
yeah. And if you take anything else away from it, take away the fact that one of the greatest human beings I ever knew in my life, who was one of the most important people to me ever, was the reason why all of this was able to happen. And his death fucking it killed a piece of me forever. But I've started to move on, and I still think about him damn near every day.
Well, the good news is you can, with this bit of legacy, you can, do something.
Yeah, and this will be my way to honor him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'll preserve these, I'll restore them, I'll put them on some kind of display, and I'll keep them until the day that I die. And that's kind of how I'll like honor him to the end. But that's that.
That was awesome.
That's
good shit. What are we doing next week?
Andor.
Oh, that's right.
Andor is over in 2 days.
I've been really diligent about not watching because I want to watch like the last bit all in one swallow.
Yeah. Ladies.
That's what she said. So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually just being able to watch.
Yeah, I saw episode 10. I did not see episode 11 last week, so I'm probably going to watch 11 and 12. Hell, probably on Thanksgiving Day, if I'm being perfectly honest.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But yeah, and then we'll talk about Andor next week, and we'll talk about the last 3 episodes and kind of what we thought about the whole season, and yeah, it'll be good. And that being said, is our guest ready for?
Nope.
No. Okay. She's still in makeup. So.
Right.
Well, while she's finishing getting ready, let me just see if there's anything else I can very quickly talk about. Oh well,
You can mention our Patreon members again.
I could, but I mentioned them at the top of the show. Dave mentioned this vehicle.
The Mad Max vehicle.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite vehicles. This again in the Cobra aesthetic. It was like truly Mad Max style, fucking double Gatling gun on the front, heavily armored all the way around, fucking jet engine on the back. Loved this vehicle. This is one of my favorite ground vehicles that we had. So, all right.
See, I was definitely a, like I had the buggy, and which you can't really see from where I'm staring right at it, but that doesn't help for anybody else.
You talking this guy?
Yeah. And I remember abusing it to a point where I kept having to like glue pieces back together.
Oh yeah.
But it was so awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a cool little fucking buggy.
And again, something that we didn't really really harp on, but like the red, white, and blue is all over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that's associated with G.I. Joe, red, white, and blue, fucking American flags.
America.
And there's all kinds of American flags like on poles that I didn't put out, but that are attached to like all the vehicles and all the fucking bases. So
Dun, 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 dun.
like patriotism
Dun, dun, dun.
flying high in this whole fucking series. So just can't stress that enough. But anyway, Miss Lopez, you ready to come out?
Yeah, I won't be yelling all the time, will I?
No. Are you okay today?
Why?
Just something about your eyes. I can't really put my finger on it.
Why? Am I look a little off?
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
I love all these sexy dolls you have here.
oh well, thank you.
Oh, look at him. He's a sailor.
Yeah.
Ah, nice pants.
Oh yes, their fashion was top notch.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got anything to talk about this week?
Sure.
right.
I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff to talk about.
All right, well, why don't we get down to it?
Okay. All right. I don't know why I'm so off. I feel off. Something's weird.
Maybe your equilibrium.
I don't know. No, it's not because of my eyes, Jason.
I wasn't sure.
No, it's not my eyes.
Okay.
Jeez. I don't know. There's something's off. I don't know what it is. Nope, no idea. All
Okay.
right. Anyway, Red 5 News. No, that's not it. I don't know what it is.
Do you not have a read this week?
No, I have it. It's right there.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just my energy level. You know what it is? I think we were going to blackmail the listeners.
Oh, that's right. Those
that's-
fuckers who won't give us 5-star reviews.
That was. So did we look? Did we see if there's reviews? I shouldn't do this if there's no reviews.
Okay. Oh, that's a good point. Well, let's see.
That's what it is. I knew it was something.
Yeah. So. Well,
If there's no reviews, then I was not here.
Okay.
Like a spy.
I guess we're gonna have to do that. So, nope, no new reviews.
Oh, well, fuck it. I'm doing it anyway.
All right, fair enough.
After our show, head over to the live chat of After the Weekend. We're discussing Kindergarten Cop. The live chat is where it's at. That's all the shows with the live chats. Kindergarten Cop, that was a good show.
Yeah.
And
Wait, show or movie?
The movie.
Yeah,
Well,
good
they're all
movie.
shows. Right?
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, right?
Yes, they do. It's not a tumor.
Yeah.
Not a tumor. Not at all. Not a tumor. Can I do an Arnold impression? Gee, don't do the Arnold impression.
I don't know if that's how he sounds. Good try though.
Doesn't matter.
Can you say "I'll be back" in the Arnold voice?
I'll be back.
It's not working for you, J-Lo. Stick to reading the teleprompter.
I'll be back.
Oh my god.
Do
Do you need a lozenge?
I need more years of smoking, apparently.
Yeah.
So watch the After the Weekend, after our show. The Red 5 Network has 38
I'm 37?
plus one podcast from our content creators. That's a new one. I don't feel like content creators wasn't the thing in this part of the read. I feel like it's different.
Could be. Maybe she's mixing it up.
Throw me a curveball, huh?
Well, Kristen did that to me a few weeks ago when she changed the order of our
Son of a
fucking
bitch.
patrons, and
I-
it threw me off for the whole rest of the read.
Like, yeah, it throws everything off. Like, I have a rhythm. Like, it just... there's a rhythm to the whole thing, and then you throw off my rhythm, then I go, like, crazy. It's like, oh, I go crazy. Check out bio.link/red5. That's bio.link/red5. So browse this amazing lineup. I don't know what I'm looking at. Where am I looking? Cantina Family Happenings. The Use and Abuse Pod will cover Doctor Who tomorrow. With
Doctor
special
Who?
guest Doctor Who. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third.
Right.
You don't know the bit?
No, I vaguely recall the bit.
You don't know. That sounds like you don't know the bit.
It's Abbott and Costello. Of course
Yeah.
I know the bit.
Well, what's the whole bit then?
I'm not doing the fucking whole bit right
Well,
now.
you suck. Come on.
I would need time to prepare.
We're trying to entertain people.
This isn't what we're doing right now.
Damn it.
Stop yelling at me.
Fuck you,
Read the reads.
bitch.
Wow.
The Use and Abuse Pod will be covering Doctor Who tomorrow with special guest Backyard TARDIS. Yeah, it's special for Doctor Who episode. Join Scott and Cam at 1700 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Both a back. Wait, what? Both a booth in the back. Wow, that's. Oof.
Is that what's on the teleprompter?
That's what's on the teleprompter. Both a booth in the back and a TSW, the escape pod, will be on holiday break on Wednesday. No other explanation, just that. It's a real sentence. It's just hard to say.
Sure.
Both a booth in the back and a TSW escape pod will be on holiday break Wednesday.
Oh, do you think she meant to say both a booth in the back?
That's what it says.
Oh, but
I just didn't read it right.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's...
it's hard, Jason. It's hard. You try it. You want to come over here and do this? You want to try and do what I do?
No.
No?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Yeah? You look like you're getting ready to push something over there, buddy. What's that? What did you have to do there?
I'm not doing anything.
No, I think you're trying to do something.
I'm not trying to do anything. Get out of my space.
No,
Oh, you're probably dropping your hairs in my drink.
probably.
Aw.
My hair's a mess today.
Yeah.
Don Della Snooch and Luna Girl will be reviewing a Stranger Things season 2. God, the reading. Why just read, idiot? Don Della Snooch and Luna Girl will be reviewing Stranger Things season 2, chapter 6, The Spy on Friday. No, The Spy on Friday. The name of the episode was The Spy, and they're going to be doing that on Friday.
Though The Spy on Friday does sound like a cool
The
title of an episode.
Spies on Friday. The Spies on Friday.
It's good.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I should sing the whole thing then. Join their live chat at 1900, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday at Stranger Things Has Happened on YouTube. The Archer Fett Show released episode 59, G.I. Joe the Movie.
Oh, what a
on
coincidence.
Friday. Yeah, interesting. That's what it literally says, interesting. Right there, it's right there. Subscribe to them on YouTube and Spotify. Whoops. All right, there we go. You can find us at, it's in bold, bio.link/the Sidebar Cantina, where you will find our links to YouTube, audio, Patreon, and our latest Spotify music mixtape, and all the social media platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, Discord, and TikTok. Also in our bio.link, also in bio link is our TeePublic merch shop. What are you doing?
I'm looking at you.
Why?
You're doing the reads. I'm paying attention.
Also on our bio link is our TeePublic merch shop. We have t-shirts and hoodies in a wide variety of designs, sizes, and colors. I feel like you're judging me.
I'm not
Are you?
How dare you!
Oh, yeah, see, yeah, that's what you were doing. You're just looking for an excuse to use a drop.
Maybe.
That stupid broad. Stupid broad.
How dare
This
you!
G.I. Joe figure has more fucking sense than that broad does.
Hey, I'm not going to pass any judgment. I'm just...
My hair's a mess. God, who dressed me today? God, look at my googly eyes are all fucked up. There are Sidebar Cantina tote bags, phone cases, exclusive stickers, and pins. Just about anything you can imagine. This week, Luna Girl will be adding some new designs. I highly doubt it. It's Thanksgiving week. She's probably busy. But she will try to have a sale running on Black Friday. Stay tuned for details.
Ooh.
Oh, maybe she will. I don't know.
I'll be tuned in for that.
I'll be tuned in also. Tuned in for that.
Yeah, I'm going to go to our TeePublic link right now, actually.
Are you? Because you already checked the reviews!
I did. And we
You
have
sorry sacks of shit! You didn't send any fucking reviews. I shouldn't even be doing this read.
Yep.
It's a sad state of affairs.
Yep, I agree.
We better have a fucking review for next week. You know what? God.
And JLo, you are not on any designs right now, it looks like. But I think
okay.
that might be coming soon.
Please write us a 5-star review on Apple. Apple! It's an exclamation point. Don't have an Apple account? Our Facebook page has a review feature too. I'm going to sing the rest of this. You ready?
Go for it.
Just screenshot your review before you hit done and DM us the pic on Instagram or Twitter. Tell us what you love or hate about the show. Jennifer Lopez, that's me. Or Hank or either their mama will tell you something funny and read through your review word for word on our next episode. Plus, Luna Girl will send you swag. you.
Oh my god.
Please and thank you.
Oh my god.
Hey, real quick, I want to do one more thing.
Yeah, what you got?
I want to sing happy birthday.
Oh, go for it.
I'm going to say happy birthday to Jeff.
Oh yes, it is his
Since
birthday.
It is his birthday today.
You should do that.
And my request is that we isolate it for the TikTok.
Oh, I leave that to Lunar Girl.
Yes, I'm speaking to her, not you.
Whatever.
You see where I'm looking? I'm looking at her and there, out there in the YouTubes. Not you, sitting over there in the fucking news tubes. I don't know.
What does that mean?
I'm spitballing here. Fuck you.
Would you just get to it already?
All right. Yeah. Hey, can you play this on the guitar?
Oh God.
Happy birthday.
I have to tune the guitar, and we're just gonna say no. Maybe if you'd prep me, before we started doing this, I could have like tuned it and been ready.
I'm
And
gonna fix my hair a little bit because I'm gonna be on the TikTok. All right, you got it. You got it. Okay, you'll make a TikTok. Awesome. All right. Well, my hair looks a little better. All right, ready? Give me a countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Jeff. Happy birthday to you.
Yay!
Yay. All right, I'm good. I'm just happy I didn't have to yell that whole time.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll maybe see you next week. We may have to seriously
Maybe.
hold this hostage until we get some more reviews because, Miss Lopez doesn't work for free. So
Right. I don't work for free.
So we need to get some reviews up in this bitch.
That's what I'm working for?
Reviews, yeah.
That's it? That's my payment?
Well, it's our payment. We're a team.
I think I need to renegotiate my contract.
Okay, well,
My agent sucks.
clearly.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, thank you again, Miss Lopez, and we will see you maybe next week if the listeners are lucky.
Bye.
All right. And that is that. Like we said, Andor next week. I'm really looking forward to this finale. And
Yeah.
Again, the show has exceeded our expectations up to this point. So that's what we're doing next week. And then I'm going to spend the next week cleaning all this shit up. And I don't even know where to start.
Trying to, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It is. It's a lot. It's a museum's worth of fucking G.I. Joe.
But, I'm glad we were able to do this episode, and I'm glad it all worked out. That's the thing. Like I said in the beginning, every step of this process, I was afraid something was going to go wrong, which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to say anything until I knew for sure. All these boxes got here last Thursday, by the way. So
Is that why it pushed a week?
yeah, because I knew they weren't going to be here for that first episode after I got back from Cali. I brought back all the figures in my suitcase.
Okay.
All these figures in the box and everything, I put in my fucking suitcase and I brought that back with me on the plane.
That must have looked interesting.
The look I got going through security was fucking priceless, by the way.
Oh man.
But all the totes with the vehicles, they didn't get here until just this last Thursday. So I had, basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday to get, things set up to where they are now. And
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely take some pictures for Instagram to have Lunar Girl post.
Oh, yeah.
Before you take anything down, just
in fact, I'll put some of the stuff back to where it was.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yep. All right, cool.
All right, man.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening and hearing me pour my heart out and
Yeah.
all that. It
was good, man.
It was good. I'm glad we got to do this. So I'll give updates, I'm sure, over the next couple months and years
Yes, you will.
as to how the sacred G.I. Joes are doing.
That's right.
So, all right.
We need to work that drop.
Indeed. All right. Well, until next time, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
And Dave and everybody else, knowing is half the battle.
And knowing is half the battle.
Okay, now what do I click?
I was trying to come up with something.
Yeah.
It wasn't happening.
Yeah, you should have practiced
I should have had a G.I. Joe.
What can you do?
Yeah, it's fucking. I'll tell you, I was nervous about permanent damage after fucking last week.
Oh, the voice.
After doing Hennifer.
Oh yeah, because you were screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
Because the all caps.
That legitimately it hurt. it was not good.
Yeah, you were leaving the house just like.
Yeah, it took a couple days for like it's actually good that the next day I was basically in a car for fucking 12 hours. Yeah, and not having to communicate with anybody.
Yeah.
Now Rob is in the mustache.
Yeah.
You have the darker hair, right?
Correct. Yep.
Very good. Why don't you have a stand? You have a box full of stands. Why don't you put a stand on them?
Don't tell me what to do.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just temporarily putting them back. I'll do something. But yeah,
You gonna watch any of the 49ers game tonight?
probably not.
No.
I slept like 3.5 hours last night, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucking tired.
Oh, you're doing good so far.
Yeah, well, obviously I had something exciting to talk about, so.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, DB. We were talking about this. DB Brady Lovin. Why did I say it like that?
Brady Lovin.
Brady Lovin. I wanted to say Big Lovin, but I said Brady.
You said his real name.
I don't know why.
Okay.
Fucking brain's a strange fucking processor.
So you were trying to make a point, or?
I was. Oh no, we were playing Modern Warfare 2.
Oh yeah. I did see the message like way too late.
Yeah. Well, you probably don't even have the game,
No.
but yeah, we should just get you online and fucking play a little bit.
Yeah. We'll have to schedule.
and my son said, I guess he got him and his fiance are on Old Republic.
Oh no shit.
They got into Old Republic.
Nice.
Yeah, he created he got on there right at the fucking the super fucking gambling weekend or whatever.
Oh,
Like,
the fucking Narshada nightlife.
yes.
Yeah.
Like that's
My
when,
favorite event of the whole game.
Yeah, that's when he started. So
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, Jason, this is how he became a billionaire in a fucking game. It was because of these fucking events.
Oh yeah. Good
So,
times. Lots
yeah.
of fun.
So he started playing that, and I meant to look up what server we were on, and I forgot. I haven't fucking logged into Old Republic in a hot minute.
Yeah, I haven't either. Pretty much since the nightlife event ended, I haven't played much.
Yeah, the few minutes that I have to do video games, I end up just logging into Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Or I sit down and play Legos. I bought another set of instructions to build for another build.
For TIE fighters?
No, it's actually for an X-37. You know the secret Air Force space shuttle?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually there's a couple pieces that I don't think I have, but I'm pretty sure I have almost all the pieces just to make it out of my scrap.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. I set up a whole new profile on what is it? Bricks. Hello, Bricks. Hello, Brinks. That's an inside joke. Hang on.
I love inside jokes. Love to be a part of one someday.
Brickable. Yeah, I went in and created an account in Brickable just to like track my sets and everything. And yeah, I uploaded 26 different sets, and it has because I bought that mock through that one. Mm-hmm. And yeah, apparently like the 26 sets are worth like $1,500. Yeah. What? Fucking Legos are expensive.
Yeah, man. And I always thought that it was going to be the opposite. I always thought they were going to just depreciate in value significantly over time, but it was
No,
the
dude.
exact opposite.
Actually, no. Here, take a look at this. Look at this number.
Okay, what do we got? All right.
That's based on these, and that's not even all of them. That's just the ones I fucking could think to upload.
Yeah.
So, but what's cool is when you upload those sets, it tells you like you can break it down to what pieces you have. Like so,
Right.
it's like, oh, I have these pieces. So if you wanted to build something else, you can piece it out. And that's what's amazing. Like you talk about the Yojo site that keeps track of all that stuff.
Yep.
With these brick sites, the ability to break something down and then use those parts and have that parts listing to be able to build something else, it's fucking awesome. So, yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Local to us, there's a small toy store that sells pounds by color and styles. Really interesting.
I'm gonna do this live whilst we're still doing the after show later. Why would I want to install a fucking system update? All right, so there's Dave. We're still in the after show, but yeah, just looking at some of the stuff we were showing on the show, the Sacred Black series. So now down here, there's a big base that you couldn't see on the show. There's the space shuttle, Rolling Thunder, the bag of accessories. Oh, I didn't talk about the medical bag that all the fucking things are in. You know, because Rob had a lot of medical issues. That black bag was like a medicine bag. It had like syringes and fucking like vials of medicine and stuff. And eventually, when he didn't need that stuff anymore, we just repurposed it as a gun bag. That's where we put all the fucking G.I. Joe weapons and stuff. So this is the box, the sacred box of figures. There's at least over 100 figures.
Yeah, there's a fuck ton of figures in
But
there.
then this is the pieces. Like these are all pieces that we gotta like rematch and put back together because it's just figures that broke and died over the years. We got my Black Major. Oh yeah, the Black Major figures, the fucking Street Fighter Mortal Kombat figures, all of these carrying cases, vehicles, all kinds of good stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's dead sexy.
Yep. And then of course we've got over there those 4 massive totes all filled with shit. So that's that. I'm gonna put that onto our private Facebook group right now.
5 pounds of gray and 5 pounds of black. That's a good start.
What are we talking about?
For Legos. 5 pounds of Legos is a lot of Legos, by the way. That is a significant amount of Legos. Because I just bought 4 pounds of Legos, and it was a significant amount. I want to buy all the Legos, legitimately. I just want like everyone. I go on Marketplace and everyone's like people are selling them that know how much they're worth. So you get a decent price at it, but still, it's like, oh man, I want to find that grandmother who's trying to clean out their house and it's like, oh, here's a giant tote that I want to get rid of for fucking $10.
And you know those have to exist.
They do. They absolutely have to. But no, I haven't been able to find it yet.
Yep. That video's uploading right now to our private Facebook group, so it's behind the scenes of the after show.
Yes, if you were a member of our Patreon, no, if you were a member of our private Facebook group,
Yeah.
which you had just said,
Yes.
and I just
Pay attention.
All right, let's wrap
it up.
Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Wrap it up, B.
Better wrap that gavel up, B.
You see that sign? Wrap it up.
I'm gonna rock it tonight. Have you ever felt this in your life? Taking you on a journey, girl.
Not even close.
Not
even close. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Oh, he's got all his clothes on.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a wrap. All right, we're out of here, guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
wrap.
And we'll see everybody next week. Happy Thanksgiving again.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Be safe.
Indeed.